Hoskins. Like, and that's one of the
you've
things.
completely, if you got, let's say, $50 million
Sure.
tomorrow.
I'm into it.
I mean, I would like it, but your entire reality shifts.
Yeah, like my concern with something like that, right? Like, do I still have the discipline to push to build my business? Because, like, that carrot's a bit gone.
Yeah.
And the amount of money my business is making,
I think
does that still make my dick hard when I don't need it?
there would be a huge, time of transformation where you would just have to figure it out. Because, okay, now I don't have to worry about money anymore.
Right.
Now what makes me happy?
I'm trying to do that now.
Right, but you're doing it now.
Yeah.
But if you got $50 million tomorrow, there would still be some of those realities that shift a little bit where you just have to say, okay, I have to refigure this area out.
For sure.
Do I want to chase this if money is no longer a thing, or would I rather put that towards something that makes me even happier?
Yeah, I think I would run into trouble pretty quickly with, like, the house thing. Like, what I would do there. Because I think I would get caught between essentially building some type of supervillain lair, dream house. But then the problem with that is it's really tough to do supervillain dream house and then be like, I really don't want any more than 3,000 square feet. The builders get real weird on that. You're like, I don't want a 14,000 square foot home. Like, that's fucking terrifying to me. Like, I don't need any more rooms than the ones I'm currently trying to go in.
That's a lot of cool shit.
Same, right? Like, I would way rather have 3,000 square foot of house, like 4-bedroom house, and then a 10,000 square foot garage.
Yes.
Shop building that I could put dope in and then have a place for cars and then have all these.
I just want really cool shit at my house so that it's like a resort.
Yeah.
And I can do everything that I want there. To me, that's a lot of freedom.
For sure. Like, being able to have your place is to where you can fully disconnect is really, really valuable. Well, shit, man, we should probably introduce a little bit.
Yeah.
As Chase Hoskins. Happy to have you. In from Salt Lake City.
Yep.
One of the Salt Lake fams has made it into St. Louis to come be part of this. And, dude, we've crossed paths enough over the last couple of years now that I'm pumped on what you're doing, man. Whether it's the stuff you got business-wise with the trucks. I know that you've essentially went into business on your own very early on and have just stayed on it since.
Yeah. When I was 23.
Yeah, so run me through. So you've got mission trip before that.
Yeah, so I went on a mission when I was 19.
All right, where did you head?
Mormon
Spain.
church. I grew up Mormon. Left on a mission when I was 19. Went to Spain for 2 years. Did the full 2 years. Came home. Got married. Was still Mormon. And then just ended up getting divorced six years later. But I got married when I was 21.
So did the divorce come about the time of the same as the less Mormon?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, when I got divorced, I realized, I'm not going to go to church a single guy by myself. And then I was like, because it was a hard time in my life, I started questioning everything I believed.
This makes sense.
You know, usually it takes something that is hard and kind of hits you to be like, wait a minute.
I know it did for me.
What the fuck do I actually believe?
Yeah.
What is really going on in the world? What do I think? Rather than just the stuff I grew up with, it just made sense because I was told it since I was a young kid. You were very programmable. You know,
I think about that, and I talked about that a lot with my mom during our last big road trip, and kind of questions I had for her were more just self-awareness questions of if you were born in a different place than the longitude and latitude that you were born in Louisiana, would you have chose Methodist?
Probably
do you
not.
know it? Right. Do you know enough about the other religions and cultures that you can defend this and say, look, I believe this is true because of X, Y, and Z? Or is it a comfort blanket? And if it's a blanket, cool, but then let's not ever fucking pretend it isn't a blanket.
Yeah.
Now, if you're really in, I need you to be really in the way that whenever I'm really into a thing, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I won't allow loopholes, and I try to figure it out, and
Sure.
I want to know how it all lines up.
But it's interesting when you grow up with it your whole life, And I went out on my mission and I studied all the other religions, and I just made my religion make sense in my head.
Killer. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean,
like we can make ourselves believe almost anything, especially if it's validated by other people.
To a point, right? Like
to a point of consciousness, I think.
To a point of consciousness, and I agree with that. And like I know for me, like I was already pretty much on the outs with religion at a pretty early age. I'd say I didn't make it out of high school before I felt very sure that atheism was correct.
Yeah.
I don't know that I believe that's true anymore. Psychedelics have changed that a little bit to at least where I'm open enough at the idea that there's something. I don't think any of us have got it right.
Yeah.
But I think that there is
I don't think our
something-
human minds can even comprehend to even really begin that conversation.
Right. And so when that shift happens, right, do you think there's any way to go back?
There's no way to go back.
None, right?
No, because you're talking about lowering your level of consciousness, thinking less
It would
for
be
yourself.
really tough to be convinced back the other way that, like,
Yeah.
oh, this whole heaven and hell thing, that's dead on.
Right. Doesn't make sense to me.
I'm just not sure what, like, a life experience would have to happen at this point for me to feel that more than, because I didn't leave the church, like, mad about anything.
Same.
It wasn't for me.
Same. I held no bad feelings towards the Mormon church. I'm super grateful, actually, for everything that I learned there, because it gave me a basis.
100%. Yeah. Look, I don't disagree with a lot of the teaching of any of the major religions.
Right. Most of them are good, and they help a lot of people.
Like, do unto others like you want to be treated. Like, it's a pretty fucking base thing.
Right.
I'm into that. That's a pretty decent way to be a human. It's not real complicated. Don't kill people. Also another one, right? But there's some other ones we probably could have thrown in, like don't diddle kids. I feel like don't diddle kid could have been maybe
a little more
maybe
higher.
like number 11.
A little higher on
Like
the list.
11 on the list. Like, well, we got to edit one out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're good basis. They're a good basis of things. So,
Yeah. And I think really with anything in life, there's good and bad. You take the good, you leave the bad. Some people take the bad and leave the good. Right? That's why a lot of people are angry when they leave the church, because they took too much of the bad and they left the good.
oh, man.
And it's just a perspective. Everything's a perspective on how you see life.
I've been punched out a long time. I'd never thought about people going to church and leaving angry.
Yeah. A lot of Mormons do it because I see it a lot, because when you're Mormon, you're very dedicated. Like, Mormons are very dedicated to their religion. You're kind of either in or out. Like, and if you're in, you live a pretty strict, you're supposed to, at least. You live a pretty
the
strict
rules
lifestyle.
are pretty black and white.
So if you get out of that and you feel like you got fooled or whatever reason you have for being angry at the church, it's a lot, because it's such a big life shift from living this strict lifestyle. It's not just like Catholic, where it's like, oh yeah, I go to church like on Easter and like that's what my family is. So I like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's a whole lifestyle that comes along with it. And so I can understand why people get angry, but I just think that's just a perspective on life. Typically is people that see more bad than good. There's people that see more good than bad.
Yeah, I agree with that too. That perspective that people have of being able to either look at everything as a good and a challenge and an opportunity versus those who are constantly feel like they're just getting piled on.
Right, because you can take any one thing. Let's use a human for an example. Like me, I have bad. I have good.
Yeah.
Right? You, as my friend, can see the good more than the bad. You can learn how to protect yourself against the bad.
Right.
And then our experience can be much better. Or you can just see the bad and then I'm just another fucker that you don't like. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And it's true of any person or anything or any
and
organization.
And it sucks too, right? Because there's definitely people that you have unintentionally at some point in your life have been the bad guy for, and like may not even know it, which is a real weird ripple.
It's weird, but it's also like, how did that help them?
Man, look, I don't know that everything always does. Like, I don't know that I definitely sure shit don't believe everything happens for a reason.
Grab that lighter.
Here you go. I definitely don't believe everything happens for a reason.
I don't think I believe that either.
I think bad shit just occasionally
I don't
happens,
think that either,
man.
but I think that stuff can happen, and there can always be good taken from it. There can always be good, or there can always be bad. So it's all about perspective. And
I mean, it's pretty
someone
tough
that
to have
has
good taken from like a kid that drowns.
a lot of good there. I know it sounds fucking terrible, but I'm,
rough
but I'm
one
serious.
with that one, dude. Like,
I'm serious. There's a lot of good that comes from it.
how?
Growth from the family, growth from the parents, people that learned.
Fuck, man.
I know it's
a pretty fucking heavy
fucking
toll.
weird perspective to take, but
And look,
it's
I know
true.
that you have to take that perspective in a situation like that. I think we could do without.
But the beautiful thing, the beautiful thing about life is that you can take that perspective.
Yeah, we can disagree.
And there's nothing, and that's not wrong. There's no right or wrong there.
No.
In a perspective, there's no right or wrong.
No, that's exactly right. It's intelligent conversation, and perhaps something gets said, and you go, "Oh, I've never considered something like that."
Yeah.
And then at least you have another way of viewing a thing. It's not trying to change to one way or the other to be like, "I got it figured out now." Like, it's all big discussion.
And that's what I think evolution is.
And so
Different perspectives, learning from different perspectives.
one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, man, is all the business stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, sure.
Like, super fucking impressed, because I know kind of serial entrepreneur and a lot of different things, and dentist office.
Yeah, so that's what we started. So I was 23. Man, I hustled my dick off for
Yo,
like
I
2
didn't even
years.
know you could fucking open a dentist office. I've never thought about that being like,
Some
me and my buddy
some
would like
states
to
you
open a
can't.
dentist office, and none of us know how to fuck with teeth.
Yeah, so you can't do it in every state. It's
Okay.
kind of a newer thing in certain states, where you can be a business owner and not be an actual dentist.
Well, it fucking makes sense. I can own a mechanic shop and never work on cars.
Right. Yeah, and so it's good. Like I said, it has been kind of a new thing, and that came from wives of dentists that had passed away wanted to run their husbands' businesses after
That adds up.
they left, and so they lobbied for it and got it passed in multiple states.
It
Anyways,
makes
in Utah,
total
it's
sense.
legal.
It was just never something I thought about.
Yeah.
And then, so plastic surgery clinic as well.
Yeah, so we started the dental office. About 6 months later, we had a really cool business model where people could come into the dentist and get their teeth fixed and get no credit check financing.
On their dentist.
Yes.
On their dental work.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so how are
Now-
you, as that part of your gimmick?
This failed, by the way.
Okay.
This company
okay.
failed miserably.
Was it due to the no financing bit?
Yeah, partially.
Okay, so that whole,
Yeah, so we started the dental office. 6 months later, we started the plastic surgery center because we had a plastic surgeon come to us and say, "Hey, I really like this idea of financing patients in office because
yeah, but that one seems scarier, more expensive.
the plastic surgery center is still going and it makes us money."
Fucking hell.
I know.
It's because the dentist was too cheap?
So there was a whole bunch of problems. The biggest problem that we ran into with dentistry is that people would come in and they would expect to, like, these are people that haven't been to the dentist in 5 years.
Sure.
Okay? They're coming to us for a reason. They would come in and they'd be like expecting a bill for maybe $500 because they haven't been in for a long time. They probably have a bunch of cavities. They would get a bill for $10,000.
Yeah, dental shit is bonkers.
And they just sat in the chair with the dentist who scared them into thinking that they're going to die if they don't. Because realistically, like, when you have that much dental work, it can cause serious health problems.
yeah. There's
So it
gnarly
is
stuff.
serious. It is serious when they've got, thousands of dollars worth of work that needs to be done. And I think they would just get scared into it, and then it'd be like, yeah, I just have to do this even though I can't afford it. And then their monthly payments they weren't able to make. The treatment plans we didn't really have a good software for. So treatment plans when you're a dentist changes all the time. All the time. So you'll come in and he'll tell you need $10,000 worth of work, but that $10,000 worth of work is going to change depending on what he finds once he starts drilling into your teeth.
Sure.
So treatment plans were changing. Dude, it was just a huge clusterfuck that we ended up borrowing $2 million to open 4 offices.
God.
And yeah, it's definitely like the most stressful time in my life, but it's what fucking made me.
So like, how many years did this run?
We ran this for about 5 years. We tried to keep it afloat for 5 years. Me and my two brothers.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah, and we're kids. I'm 25 years old, and I have $2 million personally signed on my back now.
Where did you get $2 million? Nobody.
We borrowed it. We had an
me.
investor come in. They were like a big. It was kind of like a favor of a favor. We brought in another partner that knew the money, and anyways, we signed our name. Just like, oh yeah, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We were 25.
Oh,
24,
man.
25, 23 when we started the company, and I think 24 when we took on that amount of money.
It's
And
crazy because like
they were
right
like-
now at this point, like I can more realistically feel like what that amount of money feels like than I could have at that age.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Right.
I was just like, I just want to let's just get rich. Move
Let's get
forward.
rich.
Just fucking move forward. Like, I'm like looking back.
Oh man, I've done that. I have played that card.
But then, I mean, we probably realized for a year that the company was going down, and we tried to save it in multiple different ways. We tried to bring on different partners. And one day we just sat down and we're like,
No, this just isn't working.
we all just like sat down at the conference table. And we're $2 million in debt. We just look at each other. We're like, we're fucked. We're fucked. What the fuck do? We have to shut this down. And then
Like how many
we just
dentists
fucking
do you
figure
have?
it
How
out.
many?
So at this point this was 5 years in. So we had the plastic surgery center running. The plastic surgery center worked, even though it was a similar business model where we finance people in-house, and we still do this,
Yeah,
by
but
the way.
you get a different type of person going.
It's
in
totally
for-
different.
Yeah,
Totally
you already
different type
have-
of person.
Yeah, probably they already
know.
they're doing elective surgery, whereas dental work tends to be a little bit more have
exactly. So they already know what they're coming in for. They know about what the price is going to be. They know they can afford it. And then you don't have the complication of them changing treatment plans. They come in, they get a breast aug, which is
they
about
typically-
80% of what we do is breast augmentation. And they know what they're getting into. It's very simple and straightforward, and it works.
to do. Hell yeah.
So the second version of that business model that we thought was $1 billion idea with the dentist turned out to be
Was
successful.
not.
And it's still
It's just
runs.
wrong application,
wrong application.
and so it still runs fine as
Still
a plastic
runs.
surgery clinic.
Yeah, well, I meet once a week. I have to go sit through a 1 hour meeting once a week. We make a few decisions, and I
So you
make
basically
a
operate like a
salary
board.
enough to pay my bills from
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
yeah.
company.
I mean, so is the end game there? Hopefully, someone wants to buy out
Yeah,
the plastic surgery clinics. or-
probably.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're working on growing that right now. We just brought on our second surgeon about a year ago, and then we're looking for a third and probably a fourth surgeon by the end of the year.
See,
So-
it blows me away because anytime I thought like entrepreneur, I always assumed that it meant like that was me doing the bike shop. It was find this passion thing, do the thing that I love. Whereas you're interested in business.
I started out just wanting to get rich.
Right. Because no one's passionate about dentistry.
No, fuck no. I mean, there
Right.
are people, but I'm not one of them.
Yeah,
I
I
can tell
opened
you
a
that.
bike shop and fucked all that up. And that was the thing I was really into.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fucked up a hobby for me for a long time as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we started it. I was 23, man. Like I had no fucking clue. I just wanted to get rich. Like
Just
at
wanted
this
to get
time, I was
rich.
literally married, and I was just like, I just want because I've always loved cars, so it's always
Sure.
been like I want to have a fucking ton of cars,
They take money.
and they take money.
Yeah, it's weird.
Right? Like that was my focus. So, so yeah, I mean, at the time, now obviously my perspective has completely shifted because I went from doing something that I fucking hated in the dental office. I can tell you, I fucking hated it. I hated it. Every single day, I hated it. I worked for myself, which was cool, and I like at that point in time, I was super grateful just because I usually choose to have a good perspective on whatever I'm doing. Except for working for someone else. That was one
Yep.
time when I knew that was hell for me. That's why I had to get out so early. But I looking back at working in that and what I'm doing now with building trucks, I fucking hated it. And
Because you're into
I
the
think
truck
that was
thing, too.
definitely I'm super into the truck thing, but I think that was definitely a big reason of why it failed. Was because we just weren't into it.
And so you guys are doing like custom mods on trucks. Like what level of customization are you guys doing?
Low level. So I own a dealership now with my other two brothers. We actually started the dealership like a couple years into the dental thing because we're like, this isn't making us any money. We have to
pivot
pay
somewhere
our
else.
bills here.
Yep.
So we started selling trucks because it's just like something that we knew. We've all been in the cars, trucks since we were young kids. So, and that's actually how like when I was 23, I had to put in 25 grand into the dental offices, which I hustled my dick off for 2 years to do that.
To find 25
and
grand
I
at
was
23.
flipping
Yeah,
stuff. That's how I was making extra money because, you know, my day job was paying my bills, and
So you started flipping trucks.
just started flipping trucks like a year in.
Should I be flipping trucks on the side? Am I fucking something up here?
There's a lot of money in it.
I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
I have great credit.
There's a lot of money in it. Yeah.
I don't have a ton of cash. I have a jar above the fridge. I'd like to put more in there. Perhaps that's where you come in.
It's fun. I have a lot of like friends that just like do it on the side.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know.
Because the thing is you can have a cool vehicle, and this is how I figured out, because I always just wanted a cool truck, right? So it's like, okay, I'll buy a cool truck at like a really good deal. I can't fucking afford it because I make $9 an hour, but I want to buy a $20,000 truck. So I'm gonna buy this truck and I'm gonna flip it in a couple months. I'm gonna make some money.
I don't understand how you make a profit. Everything I've ever learned is cars
buying.
goes to shit.
It's all about buying. You have to buy right.
So here's the magic.
You make all your money when you're buying. If you're a dealer, you make all your money when you're buying.
So negotiating as low as you can.
Yeah. Looking for the deals. You have to have the avenues of where you're finding these vehicles. For a dealer, it's auction. Like I can just go to auction and I know what something's going to sell for, so I know what I have to buy it for.
Gotcha.
That's the whole art
That's
of being a
the
dealer.
real move.
If you can figure
auction.
out that, you can be successful as a dealer.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
So that's how we started. And then we just started flipping trucks.
Well, look, maybe as we talked, like
Because our dental office never made us a fucking dollar. Never. For 5 years.
I don't think technically I can say the bike shop made me any money. I would say overall that was probably a net loss. Yeah, I got out of there with a big chunk of debt too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
figured
so you
I'd
get
have
it.
to pay that off for the next 10 years.
Yeah, so we did that, and then we ended up kind of we kind of shut down the dental office. We kind of sold off part of it to get rid of some of the debt. Paid off about half of it, and then we just like, well, the plastic surgery center kind of pays our bills, but it doesn't really take any of our time. So let's go full time with this dealership thing, because at the time we were selling like maybe 10 trucks a month, and you can make good money on trucks, especially if you're not doing a lot of them. The more you do, the less profit you make on each one. But I was, selling 3 or 4 trucks a month, like making pretty good money.
Okay.
So then we're like, we might as well just do this full time.
What does the dealer license get you? Like, does that get you into auction or get you into better pricing?
Yeah, it gets you into auction, and you're not allowed to sell in Utah more than 4 vehicles a year without a dealer's license. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then to have your dealer's license, all you have to have in Utah at least is just a location and then a bond. Okay. So you're talking about $3 grand a year plus building.
Okay, so pretty easy to get in.
Yeah, like when we started, it was like $1,000 a month. We paid for a little office with a shop and a few parking spaces, and super cheap. All right. And you really only need to sell 1 or 2 vehicles to make that nut.
And so,
which is kind of still our business model.
You and 3
you've seen our lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not a big, crazy, overfilled lot. You guys are making a pretty specialty product, and the clientele loves it.
Yeah. Yeah, we hold, like right now, we hold probably maybe 10 to 20 trucks on our lot, but we sell 40 to 50 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
So pretty high, just turn them over.
They go. As soon as they're ready, they're gone.
And so, I mean, what are you doing typically when they get in? I mean, if anything sometimes?
So it's what we are doing is in Utah is like becoming more and more popular, but it's basically just doing like your basic
lift kit
modifications to a truck that like a guy who wants a good looking truck to pull his boat on the weekend can spend 60 to 70 grand wants. It's like a lot of dealers kind of started out just doing a lot of dealers just started out just doing lifts and wheels and tires. We're getting into a little bit more of the details, like paint matching, doing the emblems, wrapping the roof black, making sure it's all tinted. Just little details that take a little bit more time, but have got us a reputation for having some of the best looking trucks in the state.
Yeah, sure. No doubt. I mean, I've seen the stuff that you guys built for both Dana and Brooke and everything, and both those trucks are bitching.
Yeah.
Rob's truck is super rad, man. I've never ever dug like the F450 thing because I don't own anything
where you would need it.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing I own is big enough to tow that way.
Right.
But those trucks, they're so nice. Like that modern truck now is such an incredibly nice vehicle.
It's a luxury vehicle at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, so like whenever the Tundra's time comes and goes and I'm trying to figure out kind of what I want for a daily driver, because I know I'll have a van and then I've got the L, but like my day-to-day thing, man, that like an F-250 is such a killer truck. And like I would drive another Tundra, but I clearly put shit tons of miles. I kind of want a diesel.
Yeah, you get better value.
Right. And if that's a thing now that's not going to be a high mileage vehicle for me, maybe there is a better opportunity of figuring out how to have a car for a little while and move it and flip it into something else. So we can talk more. I would love to figure out how to make that a plan.
Yeah, I have a bunch of guys that like just like flip trucks that like are normally asking me for advice, and it's fun. I like helping out.
Right on.
Guys that like just want to get started, and like, dude, I've got guys that are like working full-time jobs that are like selling 3 trucks a month just on the side, and they're making more money selling trucks.
I gotta figure this out. Brent, we could be selling trucks. We could have Hot Carl's used car lot back here at Dope.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll have to do some research on trucks since I know nothing. But
yeah, it's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. So like going
otherwise
from like
it's foolproof.
Yeah.
Going from something like started in the dental offices where I was like it was always my thing where I was like, I think it's stupid when people like say follow your passion. Like, no, I just want to make some fucking some fucking money.
It's cool when they both line up.
And then I'm like, and now I'm like, holy shit, man, if I had just figured out from the beginning that I can make money doing what I want,
it's tricky.
Why would I put that limitation on myself?
I tried and fucked it up once.
It's tricky, but you just have to figure it out.
Yeah, I fell into this one. Like, this wasn't ever, like, I had no plan of ever doing my own thing again.
After the bike shop?
Nah, dude, I was done.
Did it traumatize you?
It was fucking rough.
Yeah.
I get that. I took a beating. And that was like 22 to 25. And like took a beating, but it was very proud to call myself an entrepreneur at the time.
I was too.
Oh, man, I love saying it. Fucking big dick walking around entrepreneur with my $400 a month coming from my business.
Yeah, and people ask how your business is doing, and you're like, yeah, it's fucking great. In the back of your head, you're like, I'm fucked.
Yeah, we haven't had good positive cash flow in 18 months.
Yeah.
My business made $200,000 last year, gross sales. So pretty good. We're swimming in it. I don't know if you can imagine what profit margins are, but they're less than half.
Right.
So not a ton of cash to go around. Yeah, man, it was fucking rough. And I got out of that. And I was like, fuck it, I'll work for someone else.
And then what did you do?
I worked in the oil and gas industry. So I worked in the petrochemical industry, doing a various number of jobs. But the one I spent the most time in was outside sales. And so I sold refractory service for a company out of Houston, and traveled a lot, met with customers, took people out, entertained, did the sales job. That's a job I'm good at. I can do,
and it makes good money.
The relationships, the communicating. I had still freedom to travel because I'm making my schedule.
Right.
I don't have an office I go to. They provide me a truck. It's a sweet gig and pays well. You know, and it was paying $150-ish a year.
Yeah.
I was happy to ride that out forever.
Really?
Oh, fuck.
That was your
great gig.
mindset at the time.
Yeah, I didn't have a plan B that was ever going to make as much money as that.
Right.
That was a fucking cartoon amount of money that I was ever getting paid. I have a bullshit fairy tale degree from LSU in general studies.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I went long enough that they were like, you're good here. Best of luck.
Okay.
Here's a sheet of paper. You can tell people you graduated college. I did that and was just giving it hell, and then got a chance to make a couple shirts, and now we're here.
How'd that start?
That started with, I wrote a couple books early on in my career about training for the Highland Games, stuff like that. And then that pivoted to, in the books, in all 3 of them, I had talked about the philosophy with hate, of like, this is what drives me going forward. This is this internal motivation I feel about like, I want to be better. I want to get better every day. Like, I'm not going to listen to my bullshit. I'm the problem. And
so is that like hating your inner bitch, basically?
Yeah, basically. Like, hate yourself enough to do the fucking work.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get both, right? Like, you can't pretend you really give a shit and then fall short all the time. Just admit you don't care. Move on.
Yeah.
And so I don't tolerate much of my own bullshit. anymore. I work really hard to not.
Yeah.
That built, and one of the guys who I still am now in business with, Phil reached out and was like, hey, have you thought about doing any shirts? I'm like, nope. I have a job. It pays well. And I'm doing the Highland Games at that time, too. So now I have that as a side thing that's actually making a little bit of cash when I go compete.
Yeah.
Things are fucking great.
Right.
I have a hobby that pays well, that I like doing, and I have a job that's pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
And so Phil's like, we could do shirts. I'm like, yeah, but the problem is, like, I don't have time to ship them. Like, I travel, and I just, any of that side of the business, I'm like, I don't have space or time.
Right.
And I know I'll fuck it up. I know that I won't go to the fucking post office every day and drop these off. I fucking know I won't do it. So I can't pretend I will.
Yeah.
And from there, he was like, well, we can do all the fulfillment and everything. We do it for a couple different companies over here. And he's like, so if you have a design, like, we could just place a pre-sale and then make all those, and about half of that's going to be profit, and then we buy however many we have profit, and then we have inventory. And then you have a store. I'm like, yeah. Well, fuck, that sounds worth it.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Okay.
Here we are 7 years later, still fucking making
Cool.
shirts, making other shit.
Cool.
Yeah, now I'm invested back into Phil, and I own, I'm in business with him now, so we own the screen printing company that is in the warehouse that Phil owns. So I'm excited about that, and we've taken on probably another 10 or so different brands right now that we do all their apparel and printing and fulfillment for, and then we're expanding pretty quickly on that.
And that seems like something that will do extremely well.
Dude, people don't want the hassle
with
of
the
that
whole
side.
fucking influencer thing just continuing to grow.
It's great. And it gives, for me, it gives an opportunity, right? Because, like, I can't believe I get to do this. And it's way fun, and I understand that hurdle being like, fuck, right? Like, you know, we met some friends over the weekend, and they travel a lot and have a really big following, and trying to figure out merch, and it's like, oh, my mom's shipping it out of, like, her garage, and, like, the whole house is filled with shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we can do the whole thing for you. And then it's done professionally, and, like, I have a customer service rep. I have all these people in place now to do your thing. If you can come up with the stuff to make and how to market it,
Yeah.
I can run the back end. Because it's the
That's
front
tough
end's the
shit that they
fucking
don't-
magic.
Yeah.
So if you have the ability to do that, I can take away all the bullshit that bogs you down. You just come up with ideas, make a thing, promote it. Like, we can figure out the rest of the details.
Right.
And so
Win-win.
it's been cool.
Yeah,
it's been
it's
really
cool.
cool to help people because, oh man, like if you have a chance to live the way that I'm trying to, and the way it feels like I am, where I get to travel and I get to do all these things, like, yeah, I want to help anyone who wants to try to do that, do it.
Fuck yeah.
It's so fucking fun.
Because it's such a good experience.
It's so
you
good.
get to that point with yourself, you want other people to have the same experience as
Constantly.
you, which is such
constantly, man.
such a fucking great place to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's one of those that it's almost like if you were here, you'd get it. Like, if I can
Right.
just get you to do these things,
Yeah.
like, you got it, man. Like, you can fucking run. Your
No,
own
there's
thing.
sleep. Most of the world is asleep to it right now that you can live exactly the way you want.
I know it's rough, man, and I get, I get having a different background, right? Where you didn't know things were possible, that nothing has worked out, that every time you've tried to step forward, it's been a fuck up because you weren't given any tools. Like, you don't even know how to communicate enough to learn. It's tough, right? Like, it's just such a different emotional background, I think, that some people trying to overcome to get to, I did not have a rough road to get here. I fucked some stuff up, and even then, like, my life didn't fall apart, right? Like, got some decent debt, fucked up my credit, did some stuff like that, but I've never not had a place to live. I've slept on a buddy's futon for about 18 fucking months,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've never been hungry. Realistically, I've been fucking broke, but yeah, I didn't have to overcome something like that, But by the time I got to start figuring me out, I was 23 out of college with no debt and a degree. Like, it's a pretty solid starting point.
Yeah, it's a perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perspective to have.
It's a solid look. It's not the greatest starting point. I'm aware other people have better ones, but I'm also aware mine wasn't bad. You know, I'm not from the south side of Chicago with a single mother who worked 3 jobs and was raised by my sister, and then I became a fucking surgeon.
Right.
Right? Like, I'm aware that there's a difference in those 2 fucking stories.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think just people put a lot of limitations on, and we're all taught to put limitations on ourselves. I mean, it's the way we grow up is you can't do this and you can't do that, and things have to be like this and things have to be like that. How about things are just the way I want them to be?
That one's a weird unlock. Yeah, I thought about that a lot, dude. As you know, 2 guys who did the divorce thing and now are on the backside of it and have a little bit different perspective on all of it. Man, the divorce thing's the fucking worst. Getting divorced is super fucking lame. Like, even I have some friends who've gone through ugly ones, and mine was as pleasant probably as a divorce can be, and it's still the fucking worst.
Same.
And
I had no kids, just like you. We left on decent terms, but fuck.
the only real thing I can say that I got out of it is that I know I'm the type of person that I'll push the detonate button. I know that there's a level I won't tolerate anymore, and I'll have to leave.
Yeah, which is good.
Yes. Like, there's an unlock that comes from knowing that I can make that ugly decision if there's a decision to make. I won't just eat it. And a lot of people just eat it and ride it out forever.
Which fucking sucks.
You know, then there's resentment between the 2 of you. Instead, both of us could be on our own path, doing our own thing, and it's not saying that there wasn't a time that this is where we were supposed to be. Like, I still believe that time that I spent with my ex, that's who I was supposed to be with during that stretch. No doubt about it. You know, bummed. I'm really bummed that it wasn't the full path. But, I'm glad she's happy.
Yeah, but why have we put this label on relationships that they have to last forever? Why can't they just be for as long as they're meant to be for, and that's it?
I'm with you on that. That's how I feel about it now. And I don't know why we do that. I don't know why we lock into the monogamy thing. Or that, part of that's due to back to the religion bit.
Yeah. And I understand how it's good in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong.
Look, I don't believe it's good or bad. I don't believe, I don't believe one, monogamy or open relationship or polygamy or any of that is good or bad inherently. I think it's a matter of what you want to deal with and how honest you want to be with people you're around. You know, for me, I don't know if you've ever got to be really exposed to people doing the open thing. I did. There was a stretch for me, like, while my knee was fucked up and I'm trying to figure things out, I had become friends with Aubrey and those guys down in Texas with On It. And him and Kyle Kingsbury, and at the time, like, they're all doing open relationship stuff. And, it was really fascinating to be around it. Because it's easy from the outside looking in and being like, it's fucking Pussy River. Like, but that's not what they were doing.
I've actually heard Aubrey talk about his open relationship with his last wife.
Yep. Or, his, with Whitney.
From what I've seen, and I haven't been super close to it, it doesn't ever work long term. 1%.
Well, but we don't have a ton of proof saying monogamy does.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is when polygamy doesn't work, everyone wants to
and
point
this is
the
only
finger
my
that
perspective. I
that's
could
why.
be so wrong. Like,
Well, sure, right, but we're aware that marriage still has a 61% divorce rate.
right.
So one's not right or wrong. One's right for you at the time.
Right.
Right? And that's a special partner to find that's interested in it. But for me, when I was exposed to it, and I got to be around it and see everyone interact and the way they were around each other, plus this was my first exposure as well to plant medicine and psychedelics too. So there's a lot coming from this direction as an influence on me. But man, there wasn't any weird jealousy that I saw amongst people in the group. Like, it was a fucking actual tribe that everyone loved each other in the room the same way.
They were evolved.
Yeah. yeah, there was something else. And I just remember being around it. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but there's something really fucking different than I've ever been told is supposed to be allowed to work. And I'm watching it fucking happen, and it's cooler than what I've seen. I'm just going to fucking be quiet and hang out.
Yeah.
That's basically, I'm like, I'd like to not be kicked out of this. I'd like to see how this develops.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's challenging. And for me, the couple little things I heard Aubrey say, and for sure being around that is why I was able to handle my divorce. I think I would have done a very, very poor job 2 years earlier. No way, it wouldn't have been good. But seeing that, like, hearing him say that, like, tell me how more loving, intimate relationships with people I love in my life would be a negative for me. And I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, well, I think it all comes down to ego.
Sure. But that's a big thing for him that he talked about checking.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, you know, it's fun, but he says, you know, don't think for a second. There was a story he told where he's like, you know, don't think for a second. I'm pretty sure he's told it publicly, too, that he says, you know, it's one thing to go share with another couple that we've been friends with a long time and we love, and so we're at home, and it has evolved the way it goes for the night. And he says, you know, you and your partner finish, and it's like, it's weird to be in the living room and hear your fiance getting happily fucked by someone else. Like he said, there's a fucking ego check, man.
For sure.
And he said, that's a deal with your shit moment. And he said, in the moment and perspective about it, he said, like, I love both of these humans that are together. So how does someone I love being made happy by someone else I love equal me being mad? Like, yo, that's a figure your shit out.
Yeah. It's an ego thing.
Huh. And so seeing that stuff get tested and seeing it really operate was always really cool, that it wasn't horse shit. I got to be close enough to it that it wasn't just hearing it, but I got to see it play out as an example.
That's interesting.
And, you know, Aubrey's not doing the open anymore. Him and Vi are married and doing a different thing, but you got to learn.
So, talking about ego, I would want to ask your perspective on where's the balance between having an ego and conquering your ego and moving forward as a man in life and being a healthy human. Do you understand the question?
I do.
Is there supposed to be a balance?
I think there
Or are we
is.
supposed to completely kill our ego?
No, I don't believe we're supposed to kill it. Like, I know that that's a big chase with psychedelics and stuff like that, but where I've kind of landed on it, man, is I think my ego has two faces. I have the face that wants to win and wants progress, that wants to compete, that wants to be better, that wants to be the best I can be. Make no mistake, that's fucking ego driven. I like the company kicking ass. I like being thought of as someone that fucking rules. I like all those thoughts, and I like that perception of myself. Of course I do. The ego to get rid of is the one that's insecurities. The one that's like, fuck, he's doing better than me. That's probably because he's cheating. Or any of the other bullshit, right? Of like the scarcity mindset, the I need to fuck you to get ahead type of thing, the I can't give you my secrets type of thing, the idea that, yo, you have to hold everything fucking close, otherwise it's gonna escape and you'll fucking fail and everyone knows you're a sham. Like that side of the ego, and people operate out of that one a ton, which is the fear-driven. If you can get rid of the insecurity side and the fear-driven side of ego and just do the one that wants to win, it's worked out really well. But I sure as shit am not interested in being the guy that eliminates my ego to the point that I just don't want to do anything.
Yeah, and you're just a bomb that's like, I'm in blissful nature.
I mean, look, right the fuck on, man. If you can do the full bum thing and your brain never
happy.
clicks on to like, fuck am I doing with my life? Good on you. Then like, you fucking nailed it, dude.
You made it.
You're a cow. You've somehow become a Labrador Retriever, which is fucking incredible. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm not turned on by it.
Right.
No, I like the problem solving. I like figuring things out. I also know that I'm healthier, I'm happier, I'm less self-destructive if I'm really busy. And I like being busy. I like winning. I like trying to make decisions. I like fucking stuff up, because when we fuck stuff up, it means, well, that didn't work. We've now eliminated an option, which now points us in a better direction of progress. You know what? I mean, you seem to have changed a lot of perspective on things in a relatively short amount of time.
Sure.
Where would you say that has come from?
My divorce, for sure, because it was so hard for me. That was definitely one of the hardest things I've done, was go through a divorce and be judged and be whatever else. And like, I was like you, I didn't really have that hard of a divorce, but for me,
does the Mormon community get weird?
Yeah, for sure. They always do. I mean, it's a big thing to get divorced as a Mormon.
Yeah, people get divorced all the fucking time. It's not like we're not used to this.
And Mormons get divorced all the fucking time, too.
I looked it up. The rate's exactly the same.
It's the same. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It kind of hit me and just made me probably be more introspective and look at myself a little closer.
Did for me too,
because
man.
To me it was like I had seen it as like I was this huge fuck up, and because I was the one that left, and it was my mistake and whatever else made me look at myself.
Yeah, I wanted to point the blame more than any way it was fucking ready than was real.
Yeah,
the whole fucking thing was me. Like all of the problems.
Same for me.
And
but the guilt that comes with that. You
sure.
You want to get rid of that, and you want to shift the blame to somebody else, and that's normal. But it's not real.
No, but like you said, though, if you can lean into it and figure out some tools, whether it's therapy or anything else, to sort your shit through the back end of that, and actually, like, oh, I kind of felt like those anxieties, these things that pop up. And for me, cannabis or mushrooms put a real big fucking spotlight on those feelings.
Yeah.
The insecurity, the other type of stuff, these things that make you really anxious and not real stoked on yourself. Right. I decided I liked that they were lit up. Gave me a better focus on them. That way I can't fucking lose them. I don't let them get hidden, right? These are my monsters. I want to keep them chained up on the fucking floor in front of me, dead, where I can keep an eye on them.
Right.
And yeah, I don't want to pretend I'm not that guy, because I am, but I can choose not to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and my perspectives have shifted a lot. I think I've become a lot more open-minded since my divorce. I think cannabis for me was big, because I've been smoking weed for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is just the way it makes your brain fire a little bit differently, is just gives you different perspectives, which I think just makes you more open-minded. And I'm to the point where I'm like, I don't fucking know anything, but here's my perspective, and I could be so wrong, or I could be exactly right.
But it's also
does
great.
It even matter?
It's great admitting you don't know anything and being really okay with it.
Right.
Because then I'm open to learn as much as I can.
I'm open to anything. As things unravel, we learn more. As we go on, we evolve more.
What's the most interesting thing you've learned recently that you're hot on?
Are we getting into aliens?
Whatever it is. I'm into talking about aliens.
This is what I've been into since you. I've been super into the whole like Spartan thing. Okay. And you posted something the other day that made me really interested about fear shedding. Okay. Was that you that posted that?
I don't know.
So
we'll keep talking about it. We'll
someone asked you on your thing, do you believe in men crying?
Yeah.
And you talked about the Spartans, how they did the fear shedding.
Oh, I did not talk about that.
That wasn't you?
No, that wasn't me.
Sure, that was you. So there's this the Spartan army, right? Probably some of the baddest motherfuckers that have ever existed.
For sure.
Right?
As we've been told.
Their whole thing was, if I can control myself and my mind, I can be the greatest possible warrior. Right? So their whole focus was controlling their mind and controlling their emotions and controlling their fear specifically. So that when they went into battle, they were completely fearless if they had complete control over it. A lot of times after battle, they had, different, like, whatever you want to however they controlled their emotions. A lot of it, I think, was through discipline. And they were trained from a very young age to be super disciplined.
Well, but not only that, like that's another thing, right? Like the reason they're able to conquer those fear and conquer that emotions is because they've been put and chose to be put in really challenging circumstances
Yes.
a ton of times. And so it builds repetition for that. The same way exposure and competence is what eliminates fear and anxiety across anything.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, that was our whole thing, and I'd want to jump more into that too. But a lot of times, like after a battle, they would do what they called fear shedding, whether that was trembling. A lot of them would get down on their knees and cry.
Yeah.
To just release the fear and move forward.
That's fucking heavy.
Which is fucking heavy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's heavy.
I don't think most of us can really picture how insane. Like, at least in the last season of Game of Thrones, the Battle of the Bastards, and this bit where like Jon Snow is working through the crowd in this long tracking shot. I don't know if you've seen that shot.
Yeah, no, I've seen all of it. So. In the very last season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. No, that wouldn't have been the very
this was
last
before.
season. Yeah, that was with
Okay.
Ramsay.
Yeah, because I think you're thinking about the battle with the, but
with the horses and everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like
Yeah.
that big long tracking shot, like the reality of being in that type of battle with fucking swords and stuff, like
It's so different.
Fucking chaos.
It's a completely different reality.
Fucking chaos. Like you're not walking out cool.
Because there's eventually a shot where he's just like starting to drown essentially in the crowd.
Yeah,
of
he's just
people,
getting
right?
mushed.
I couldn't remember if that was that show or not, but yeah, it was. Yeah, that was terrifying. I was just like, oh, this is how it actually goes. And like Lord of the Rings, where they always have like all this space to fight. But
Pretending that you'd get out of that alive and not need a fucking moment.
Yeah. And I
needed a moment after my motorcycle ride last week, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, fucking level of soft I am. I need a moment of just was emotional driving this motorcycle around. Meanwhile, these guys are slightly judged for having a cry after a war.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And so they were super disciplined with controlling their emotions. And obviously, I mean, back in those days, you can imagine that's just a different type of man. That's a different type of man than what exists today.
Yeah, there's some things I'm probably way better at.
Probably.
I'm probably way better at figuring this thing out. And thinking about bigger concepts.
And they're way better at murdering someone that's right in front of them with a spear.
Their hierarchy of needs is
different
slightly
than
mine.
It's a completely different type of man. Completely different. But my whole beliefs are that our emotions create our reality.
I believe that's true.
Because our emotions are basically our perspective, and it is literal creation power which creates the reality around us. So I think the greater control you can have over your emotions, the greater you can create the reality that you want.
So I think it's easy to listen to that and then be like, well, why can't I fly? Right.
Sure.
And I understand where you're going with it. I'm just trying to look at it from the outside perspective of someone who hasn't switched on.
I don't want to say that there's limitations, but there are limitations.
Yeah, of course, physics.
There are limitations.
Right. So you're not going to willpower your reality until you get to fly around like a jet plane.
Not in this life, at least.
Most likely. Yeah, there may be some other avenues to figure out how to get there. I don't know how well those can be controlled. I'm working on it. But for sure, I do believe that, right? Like, that's a big difference in even your reality of a good or bad day is really controlled by how you have controlled your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a good mood, if you have built that momentum of positivity, it is going to weigh heavier, and it tends to be a good day. If you've fucked up a couple things and then stacked the cards in a favor that you're behind, you're late, and then it's stress, and then it's on top of this, and the fucking car's out of gas, and I don't have time to get to this other place, and everything's this clusterfuck. You could have controlled that physically, but then emotionally, you could have been able to just be like, here we are.
Yeah.
And choose to not give into it.
Right. So my question, I guess, following that would be for you is how, because 90% of the world doesn't control their fucking emotions. Maybe probably a lot more than that.
Well, I think
They don't even have any type of concept of the fact that they get to choose what type of mood that they're in that day. People just let their emotions run them.
choose to, right? Whether that's
They
watching
choose
the
to,
news,
correct.
whether that's watching.
But is that that's just a
whatever
level
your
of
feed
awareness?
is.
Because most people, if they're
Most
aware of it, they're
people
going to do
aren't-
something.
So most people, I believe, aren't aware that they're choosing to be angry
Correct.
most of the time. That they're choosing to watch things that piss them off. They're choosing to do stuff that keeps them at that lower operating level. That's easier to point the finger. That if that my thing would be better if this thing wasn't blocking me. I think a lot of people like being there. And by like being there, I mean they don't do anything about it, so the evidence tells me they fucking like being there.
They do, but that's a real thing because the body likes those sensations.
Of course.
Right? We're addicted to bad feelings.
Well, yeah.
We're literally,
Well, I mean, look,
brains are addicted to it.
Well, look at any YouTube comment section, right? Like, it's never the 20 comments of dudes that are like, fuck yeah, are the ones that you give a shit about. So, of course, it gets more of our energy. It eats up more of our RAM to do the negative thing. I personally have just said, I'm not interested.
Right. But that takes more effort.
It does take discipline. It takes discipline.
It's
to
super
not
easy
get
to just
bit
be
in.
negative.
And then at some point, like for me, there's a couple little things I've heard that I always resonated loudly enough for me that it was like as soon as I heard it, it clicked over and I didn't give a shit anymore. One of those was I don't take criticism from people I don't ask for advice. I give a fuck what you think.
No,
I
if you're
didn't
not
ask you
living
your
the
opinion?
if you're not living the life that I want for myself in some aspect, I don't.
Well,
care what
even
you
then,
think.
right? Like even then, right? Like if I go see a friend's setup or something like this, and they did something different than the way I would lay it out. Last time I checked, I don't remember them asking my fucking
Cool.
opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
totally.
I don't have a thought on it.
Totally.
So
Yeah. It's just letting people be themselves.
yeah, at the fullest,
Right.
right? Just enough to be supportive of my friends, and man, yeah, it's it is tricky. It's really tricky to stay out of any of the competitive stuff and feel left behind or way out front. I have felt both in my life. You know, I had a group of friends at one point that I felt that I was the most successful of, and I enjoyed that role a bit. That I enjoyed paying for dinners. I enjoyed doing all that and taking care of people and being that guy. I'm far more motivated by feeling like I'm the least successful guy in my group of friends.
Same.
And I really like the uncomfortability of it. I like being uncomfortable. I think being uncomfortable slows down time. I think it slows down my perception of time. I think it, if anything, that buys me more of it because my perception of it slows down because I have to be giving a shit. I don't know, man. It's like obsession's been valuable to me, but it's figuring out how to rein it in.
It's all a perspective. It's all a perspective. Right? Like, nothing has to be bad, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think anything, at least my feelings
Like-
about
like
the
your-
universe.
your
Like, I don't believe
ego.
there's inherently things that are good and bad. I believe that
Same.
there's people that choose to do shitty stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So, like, kind of going back to what you were saying just at the start with good and bad experiences, like, or the good and bad perspectives. Because my thing is like, I understand, like, I really understand what you're saying in regards to, because you're not saying something can't be a bad experience. You're just saying that you can always take a positive perspective from the shittiest of
Yeah,
experiences.
I mean, there's light and shadow in everything.
So,
I
like,
believe that's
and I think,
one of my
and I
core
think,
beliefs.
Yeah, and I think like one of the easiest examples for us or just people and anyone listening in general to understand is just like 9/11, for example. So like terrible fucking event, right? But a positive experience or a positive thing that came from that is all of America united. Everyone was way more like there was way more community. There was way more like just togetherness in general of America. And so even though it was such a horrible and bad experience, there was this positive perspective or this positive kind of
Perhaps positive shift.
Positive effect. Sorry.
Sure.
That's a positive effect that that came from a super, super negative experience.
Yeah.
Or negative
100%.
event. So like, I get what you're saying in that sense, for sure.
How many aliens were involved with 9/11?
I think 9/11 was done by the U.S. government.
All right. I'll go into that one. I'll let you explain how.
Oh, I might not be the best guy to.
Oh no!
Like I've watched enough, but I don't know that I can spit out facts enough. But if you look into it, to me, just the reason, like I used to be like before the pandemic, I was not a conspiracy theorist at all.
Shit. All right.
But with the face that the government has shown the past 18 months.
Well, look, but I'm aware my government's always been shitty, right? Like we know we did a
Right,
false
they've always
flag
been
thing
shitty.
that
They were
Vietnam.
shitty in
Like, that's a
2001.
fact.
They were shitty in 2001, and billions of dollars of oil was involved. Why would they not have done that whole thing by themselves? And there
So,
could
I
be
mean,
a million different
are
views on it
with that,
because
are we pretending Bin Laden was framed and like really didn't have an interest?
that's where I'm like, I don't know. My whole thing on 9/11 is it definitely didn't happen the way that they told us it happened.
I believe that.
That's my biggest thing. Apart from that, who fucking knows? Because but when you jump into
But
conspiracies,
if it did happen the way they told us, it's almost like I think they fucked up and got it right. Like that's what credit I would give my government. I don't believe that they were purposely like holding back stuff, maybe at best. But if we do know what happened, it's literally because they weren't involved.
maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I see that the government almost never when there's something that big, they almost never tell us the truth. That's how they've pretty much always worked.
But what would be something equal to that? I mean, the only thing even similar is Pearl Harbor.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about like attacks, I'm not just necessarily just talking about attacks. Let's use
but
the
attack's
pandemic.
a different one,
Just
right?
the pandemic, for example.
Yeah, the pandemic, but it's not the same as like an actual declaration of war and an attack, right? Like, we got who the bad guys were pretty fucking quick after 9/11.
We got who they told us the bad guys
For
were.
sure. Right. Like
Which
what we
they
had
told
an
us-
answer. Same
they
thing.
told
same thing
us
with
who the
perhaps-
bad guys were with the virus. And it turned out to be someone completely different. The only difference is that we figured it out this time. We never figured out 2001. Or there are people that figured it out and no one believes them. They think they're crazy because the world isn't as awake. It wasn't as awake then as it is now, and it's just now seeing more corruption. It's seeing the truth. We now know the virus actually came from China. We didn't get the bad guys from the beginning.
What do we know now? We know the virus actually came from China and was released.
I'm not going to say we know that, but that's
Did you see any
what
of
everything points to is that
Plandemic?
it came from a lab in China,
Yes.
the Wuhan lab.
I thought that was always a fact.
I thought that
No.
had been kind of.
They were trying to hide that from the beginning because there's money that ties the U.S. government to that lab.
Oh, of course. Yeah, all the things from the Plandemic documentary.
Right. So
are still,
what was the
dead
first?
on.
Who was the first bad guy with the virus? I know this is something completely different,
So-
and I don't want to compare it to 9/11.
Sure. But also, I think that you have to be careful with adding nefarious ideas to a thing that are pretty standard protocol. Like, we do manipulate viruses at the Wuhan lab. We have for a long time because that gives us other ways to figure out antibodies and other things. Like,
Sure.
it's not a nefarious reason of why they're doing that.
I know, but just everything else, the fact that
But
it
we-
came
and-
from that area,
Yeah, but we
and then they tried to
fund-
cover it up.
Of course we try to cover
Right.
it up. But we fund the Wuhan Institute because there's less regulations to fucking get shit done faster.
So why lie about it?
Have you met us?
That's my whole point, though, is the government never tells us the truth
Well, of course not, but that's our fault.
because we're stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we can't handle
Right,
when
but
we're
that-
actually
but-
told the
but-
truth because we get fucking weird.
But someone else being stupid isn't going to make me trust the government.
oh, I don't trust the
Right.
government.
That's all I'm saying.
I like operating knowing
don't
that
know
this is how
how-
they go.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to change the game. This is fine that I understand what your fucking gimmick is.
Well, yeah, I think.
You'll never trust us. Cool. You think we're fucking stupid. I'll handle myself accordingly.
Yeah, the only problem is when they try and grab more and more control. Right.
Well,
That's
you
when
can
it gets
also seem to
worrisome to
build a
men.
little bit of your life to avoid how much
Yeah.
control they can grab of your
Absolutely.
shit.
And I'm totally on board with the whole you're responsible, you know, no government is going to come to save you or anything like that. But
Nope.
the reality
Yeah.
is the reality is what it is. The government doesn't tell us the truth.
Yeah,
So
I
why
mean,
would I believe that they didn't have some hand in 9/11? Does it really fucking matter? No, it doesn't affect me in any way.
I mean, historically, we've done weird shit. I mean, we did a false flag drop to start Vietnam. We faked that whole bit. I mean, we've
I
done.
mean, there's endless things that the government has done that people would have called conspiracy theories back then and called people crazy
Sure.
for that ended up being completely true.
Oh yeah.
I just think the government has a hand in a lot more
Do you
than
think
they
we
let
went
us
to
on.
the moon?
Yeah, I do.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, let's get into
Well,
this.
from
Let's
the one
get into this.
yeah, from the one I've heard about that though is like in regards to actually faking that here, it was essentially impossible with the digital technology we
Okay,
had at the
you
time.
guys want to know what happened?
The only thing that matters, the only thing that matters is admitting 25,000 people didn't keep a secret.
Yeah, I don't think
That's all that
I don't think
matters.
that's possible.
That's why we for sure went to the moon.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I completely agree with the whole keeping a secret thing.
No fucking way people do that.
Dude, there's no one someone on like their deathbed wasn't like
Fuck
we
no,
didn't
there's
actually
too
go
much
to the
profit.
This is what I
moon.
think.
We're too much fucking profit that somebody would fully spill the beans.
You say that, but do you believe in aliens?
Do I believe in the possibility of aliens?
Let me ask you this.
Let's define aliens.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the government has more proof on aliens, or what do you think the government enrolls?
Do I think they know more than we know? Than
Of
they've
course,
told
they
us?
know more than we know, but how much do you think the government knows about aliens?
I mean,
And I'll be the first to admit this. I might be
That's
fucking
fine.
crazy,
that doesn't look.
and I don't even care because none
I
of
can
this
smoke
actually
weed
matters.
and talk about aliens. I'm
Yeah.
fucking into this idea. So, here's a guess how I would fall as far as what do I believe the government knows. If I'm trying to be fucking logical and give you honest answers about
Yeah.
what I think, because I also don't trust them. Because I understand how the DMV works. I don't believe they're fucking super high tech, great regulated, fucking organized people either.
Okay.
There's no government agency that's ever operated without tons of bureaucratic bullshit.
Right.
So I know that's how it runs too. I can't pretend they're the fucking Matrix and it's a well-oiled machine
No,
behind some
it's
closed
not.
door. It's dog shit. So I think what they know would be collectively all the information that has ever come up about aliens. Like, I think they know about any time that there was a thing spotted. I think they have analyzed the video. I think that they have all the stories.
Do you think they've made contact with them or have any of their ships?
Do I think the U.S. government has an alien spacecraft? Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know because I don't feel like Bob Lazar is full of shit.
That's my
And there's
biggest
been
thing.
too many things that have checked out,
That,
right?
For me, Bob Lazar was the very beginning, where I was
My
like,
real
this guy's
problem-
telling the truth.
My real problem with it is the amount of fucking arrogance that, of course, if anyone on Earth was to get a spaceship first, of course, it's big fucking United States. Like, it didn't just fucking land in Mongolia and then we all have fucking proof at the
No,
same
I
time. No,
don't-
we secretly fucking got it.
You know, there's a lot of evidence to say that the first ones were the Germans, the Nazis.
Well, sure, they developed a lot of technology very rapidly. But
Yeah.
human testing also ramps things up pretty
Yeah.
quick, especially holding guns to people's heads for
Sure.
them to fucking figure things out.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I can probably motivate you a bit.
motivation's different.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We haven't decided to run Harvard that way to get the most out of our students.
Oh my God. Can you imagine just sitting in
So-
and taking a test?
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's my thing.
So there's
I don't
a couple
fucking
things
know.
that come. There's a couple things that would have to come with the alien bit for me. That if it got here, if it whatever, right? The technology that it at minimum has is a few things we know. That it has to be able to travel at a speed that we just can't comprehend. Because right now, the Voyager, the satellite, we sent
Right.
that out in the 70s, and it has just left our solar system.
It would have to be a completely different
Right, so
form of
it's
travel.
traveling at 25,000 miles an hour and has just left our solar system in like 40 years. To get to the next thing,
Yeah.
it has another 280,000 years.
You have to have a different mode of travel.
Sure. So if we now have that mode of travel on the planet, it's too valuable. It's too valuable not to develop. It's too valuable for everything.
But maybe
because that's essentially
but is it too valuable
teleportation.
to give to the public?
Give to the public's weird, right? Because if we've had that technology for as long as we're claiming and we still have just done jack fuck with it, that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah.
That doesn't add up. That's not human. That's not the way we've done anything.
Well, it depends. If this is a completely free energy that can be harnessed with no government control, then they lose complete control of us.
So theoretically, and we're now talking about the spaceship's power source.
Let's preface
as the
this
sun.
conversation with I have no fucking clue.
I'm just
There's-
making sure we're on the same page for
Yeah.
the discussion. That spaceship essentially has a lossless.
Which is what Bob
energy.
Lazar says. Element
Right.
115 is something that produces no emissions, throws nothing out the back, and is completely free and endless energy.
I don't know enough about Element 115 or whatever it is, other than he talked about it a long time, and then we did later find out.
Yeah.
It does.
It's
exist.
possible.
It
It's
does exist.
possible that it exists.
Yeah.
They recreated a non-stable version of it.
If we developed the technology that we did or we got from the alien stuff, then, like, we would see more trickle down.
I would think so.
Like there would just be things that we don't do
but
anymore.
you also look at some of our most lucrative industries right now. They're all energy based.
No doubt about it, right? It also really fucking blows me away we've done some weird stuff just as a species. Where, like, when we'll turn and, like, pivot with, like, this is the positive change we should all be part of.
And it's not any better.
Well, like, not only that, but, like, just as an energy source, if we're aware maybe there's some shortcomings to fossil fuels long term as a civilization. Like, if we're aware of that, and we've now developed the ability to take energy just from the sun, the glowing ball of fire millions of miles away, why aren't we just developing better ways to do that second part? Like, why isn't all of our technology and research going to be as efficient at solar? Because then the better you get at it, you would have the thing to sell. Like, there's a shit ton of money. But is it because people fucking don't live long enough and it just assume, well, I'll do this until I'm dead, and the next guy in the chair is making giant fucking trucks of cash?
I think it
has
has to do with money. I think it just comes down to money.
But like as a government, couldn't you just subsidize, say, Valero and Exxon and these other Shell and BP, these other monstrous fucking companies, and say, hey, since you guys have scientists and you have all these people, we would like you to develop our future with solar. So we're going to give you some tax credits, but we need 10% of your whatever gross, income to go developing this. Because we need it as a people.
Yeah, so then what happens when those deals happen is the politicians all make money
And they say,
and nothing
gas.
actually gets done. Right? That's the
know.
problem is we've gotten to a point of so much greed that people don't care about anything except money. And the problem is you can't in that ecosystem because the ecosystem is built around it.
Yeah. God damn it, man! But we haven't been doing it that long. It's not that fucking hard to rewrite this ship. We're still in the first draft of this whole America
Right.
thing. Like all the other countries
I
that have
think
been around for
we need to
1,000 fucking years.
A lot
or
of
any
stuff
these
has to break
stuff.
down, but people are scared of that. People are scared of breaking things down, and
Well, because
They're
because
comfortable.
because we've gotten dependent,
yeah,
and if things break down, we're in real fucking trouble.
right.
With that said, if things break down, I'm fucking out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're saying with, people just kind of waiting for the government to save them, which is why they have so much kind of pull on us right now, because it's just...
Well, we're being told we can or can't go outside. We can.
Well, yeah,
we're
it's
currently being told what we can and can't wear.
Well, yeah, because there's just... I mean, I would say the majority is just waiting. Like, that's why, because when you're just talking about, like, doing your own thing and like going out and being able to live your life how you want to. It's just because people want it done for them and they're expecting the government to save them when the government doesn't give a fuck about us. So
Doesn't give a shit. That's the only thing I'm pretty confident in is I just don't believe they give a fuck about
No one
us.
gives a fuck about us. Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about you. Ted Cruz doesn't give a fuck about you.
No, he doesn't
Joe
at
Biden
all.
doesn't give a fuck about you. No Republican, no Democrat gives
You know
a
what?
fuck about you.
I do think there are some that are genuinely trying, but the thing is that no matter, especially younger ones, they'll get in though, but they realize how fucking hopeless
It's
it
a-
is, and
it's
then
a
it just eats them
broken
away,
ecosystem.
and then it just eats them away
It's
because
a
like
broken
No, you
ecosystem.
Because
can't. You can't
impossible to
let
get-
real people into the
it's
club.
impossible to get anything done because everyone's too in it.
100%.
Everyone's too corrupt, and so like no matter how optimistic the person is, no matter how much like I'm gonna make change, they get eaten by everyone else because it's
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's-
you're never
can't-
going to expect the people who profit a lot from the weird laws are going to change the weird laws.
I'm not changing them if I'm profiting a lot
No,
from them.
of course not. And I
Right?
know that. Like, I know that, right? Like, if something happened and I had an uncle who hit me up and it's like, hey, man, we just found out I can get you'll print all the shirts for the Marines next year.
And you can charge them $10,000 per shirt.
Right. I'd be like, what? Yeah, I'm into passing that.
Yeah.
That's cool with me.
Right.
Fuck, I get it. But fuck, it still sucks.
Yeah, but like I said, it's a broken system that
Yeah,
needs to be torn down.
I don't know how it went to shit, though. Because ideally, everything we've tried to do, ideal-wise, is a pretty fucking good move. But, like, once people are involved,
Yeah.
that's when it goes tits up.
I, just like everyone else, want to believe that this is going somewhere that eventually ends somewhere good, but I don't know.
So, if you could right now boost to the future, 500 years, what are a couple things that you think are different on the planet?
I think humans themselves have finally figured themselves out. I think that's the secret.
Man, I fucking hope so.
My thing is that I believe that
500 years
humans
isn't even that long.
are going to evolve.
That's like
That's
10
true.
people.
It's not that long actually.
That's 10 people.
Yeah, 500 years not that long.
Right. The U.S. has been around for
But I think we're on
people.
the brink of a human evolution right now, and humans actually evolving.
What do you think's bringing that about? Because if anything, I feel it's the other way. I think we're de-evolving as a species.
Okay, we're gonna get really crazy, and I have no fucking clue. This is just what
Yeah.
kind of makes sense
This
to
is
me.
how weed
if we
talk
want to get
works.
into like spiritual stuff and like, I think spiritual and alien stuff is basically the same thing,
Okay.
right? So we're talking about interdimensional beings, different dimensions,
Have you
different
had any
universes.
interaction with any aliens?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Or
all
any interdimensional beings?
The only evidence I have to show that this is what I believe over any like religion is I got started with the law of attraction, and if you go deep enough with the law of attraction and quantum physics, it all connects to the universe and how the universe works and how everything really is energy. Like real matter is like 0.00001% of what you're actually seeing, and most of it is just organized by energy.
Sure.
Right? And our energy comes from us because I believe that we came from God. I don't know what that God looks like or if it's a guy or girl. I don't know.
You believe in intelligent life force?
I think a consciousness
Okay.
that exists replicated itself, and that's us. You could go a lot deeper with that, but
That's actually really interesting. But I understand what you're saying.
So I think that we all are, in some sense, God that replicated itself.
Is that unique to humans or is it
experience
everything?
It's everything.
Okay.
Even the Earth itself, other planets,
Got
other
it.
dimensional beings, other beings in this universe.
I can follow along with that vibe.
I think that was God. Started as a consciousness that said, I am, what can I become? And wanted to experience every single perspective within the infinite realm of everything. And that was how it was going to evolve, was experience. Right? And I think you can probably relate to that. Like everything God wanted was just more experience.
Sure.
Right? That was what evolution was. That was what moving forward was.
That makes sense. That would be what creates.
Yeah.
Evolution is different experiences over enough time. Some die, some don't make it.
So, Yeah, I believe that we're God and we can figure that out and we can create our own reality. We created this earth.
Sure.
We-
I believe that
through
some of us
co-creation.
may be switching on.
Yes.
But do I
So I think
believe
there's
as
a
a
divide.
species
I think there's a
that
divide.
we are evolving? I do not.
Yeah, so I think there's a divide that this is what I believe and this
Which is great because now we're two people that believe this who don't have kids.
Yeah. Sure.
We're getting outnumbered, my friend.
For sure. But here's the thing, like I think that at some point, and I don't know what this split looks like, there's a split.
Well, I mean, there always is, right? And that's more splits within our country, right? Whether that's started with the 99% and the 1%, we've trickled down now to BLM and everything else, and as many right or left or Democratic
Right.
or Republican or abortion or non-abortion, that all of these things have become a left or right side argument of everything. I think at some point we're going to see a split between those of us who have chose to take care of our health and those who haven't. And I think this other one is a possible one too.
Yeah. I think, and I actually...
The ones that won't be
I
fought
actually
for.
believe it will almost, at some point, eventually be like a split in dimensions where people that are awake to the fact that they are creators, that they create their reality through co-creation, like, because I think, like, for example, social media
Yep.
was a part of co-creation of people that decided they wanted to live their life a certain way. They no longer wanted to work in an office, and a bunch of people through co-creation, through subconscious co-creation, created this platform where we could all live completely different lives and have completely different experiences that we wanted versus what our parents wanted. So I think that was the power of the energy within the universe working together to create that existence for ourselves.
I do think you get a lot of control over what's coming. I do believe that.
But I still believe in co-creation, which means that your creation while we're here on this earth may affect mine.
No, 100%. 100% it does. Plenty of people's have affected mine, right?
Right.
My pretty much draw the line at anything is that if you're chasing your creation is blocking someone else's.
Right.
At that point, I'm intolerant.
Which actually, in my opinion and my belief, is what stops people from creating. Because if you really realize that you're a being that can create your own reality, then you will never interfere with anyone else's.
Yeah, for me, it's...
And
yeah,
when you
but-
do,
but
that's just your
except for
human side.
But we both fucking know people who've created their own reality, who feels the way that we do, but they don't fucking have a problem with being in the way.
And so what happens with those people, in my opinion, is they're super creators that are creating a block that could level them up 100x. I think it's a block. I don't think it's a stop. Does that make sense? It's something that slows you down.
Do you think that it's slowing them down?
Definitely.
Okay, I thought what you were saying is
A
them
lot.
doing that is what's giving them the 100x.
No.
Yeah,
That's stopping them from becoming way bigger than they
Yeah.
actually are.
that's how I feel about it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, anything I've ever read as far as, building business, building community, building culture, any of that, it's always very open. And it's always culture building. It's always interesting when people, like, when I feel like someone is switched on, but then still makes moves like that or can tolerate moves like that from themselves.
Lack of self-awareness, mostly.
I guess, man,
Yeah. Because people can be aware that they should do something and not be aware that they are doing it.
That's true. That's true. I know for me, like, if I know something's going on, like I'm at a point now where I kind of can't sit idly by and let a shitty thing happen. I have to interject. I have to be involved, at least enough to make sure everyone involved is consenting
Right.
and being fucking whatever this is going to be.
Sure.
Like, if it looks like I feel like in the future this is going to be a pretty dog shit deal
Yeah.
for everyone involved, I would way rather be able to at least make sure everyone that I care about knows that there's a pretty good possibility this is going to go tits up. And if everyone's into that, fucking let it
Yeah,
rip.
right.
Like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do
Just
with your life.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Just the truth.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people pull that off. I don't know how people pull that off.
I wonder the same thing too, because I'll look at someone that like is creating a really good reality for themselves, and like doing it like being negative, and I'm like, how the fuck are they doing that?
It's incredible. Like, look at what Jake Paul. Right, like the amount of effort that goes into that thing.
Yeah.
And now, like, I've run into a couple folks who've had interactions with him and stuff like that, or known people that have known him for a while, and he is really an asshole.
Really?
Yeah, which fucking blows me away.
Well,
that you can pull it off.
But
that you
is he
can
just riding the coattails of his very positive older brother?
Man, but how long does that get to fucking work? Like, I get that, like,
Yeah.
the light can shine your way, but he's fucking kept it. He's getting paid fuck tons of money to do weird shit.
I really think that you can ride along in somebody else's reality. I
Oh,
think you
for
can.
sure you can. Look, there's a lot of
you
people
can.
that aren't universe creators.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are characters in someone else's universe, and that's not a negative. I mean, there's a lot of great roles and super great life experiences that involve being someone else's
Right. Absolutely.
fucking partner.
Yeah. But it's really fucking cool when you can be the one that creates your own reality.
Yes, if you have an idea of what you want to do.
That's step number one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's step number one. That's what Sean Whalen talks about a lot too. Is like,
Oh, without
if you don't
without
know
a
what
port,
you
all
want,
fucking wins are bad, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And so you got to at least know what you want to accomplish. And I mean, for me, like, I had a question on my Instagram today of like, what's my idea of success? My idea of success is that I'm doing whatever I want to every day.
Whenever I want to.
Right? Like, I want enough success to be able to choose, that essentially this little mental experiment or thought experiment of moving to Bali. Sell it all. Fuck it. Move to Bali. I figured out that realistically, and Brant's part of the team, so he's in, that it's me, Bonnie, and Brant can pick up a 4-bedroom villa in Bali for under $400,000, and then like can have a cook, a house cleaner, a masseuse every day, and all these things. That runs about $10,000 a year. So realistically, for as long as I want to be alive, for under $1 million, I could do
And live
fuck
like a
all.
king.
And live like a king.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to be busy and I don't want to work, yeah, I can already afford to fucking live that at the dumbest way possible for the rest of my years, right?
Yeah.
So then that means I want the stress. Because I have a door to walk through if I don't.
Right.
I'm choosing not to walk through that door. And if we're choosing not to walk through it, let's fucking be all in. Because we can always go.
Yeah. It makes it easier.
It makes
your
it
life
more
better.
fun for me.
Yeah.
Because then everything's a choice. I don't have to do shit.
Right.
That's my idea of success. Is that I want to work and create and do that as much as I want to. And I love that it'll never feel like an obligation.
Yeah. And some of those days, I want to do the
Fuck yeah,
uncomfortable
man.
things.
Look, if there was once a week I could fucking walk through that door and be able to come back
Right.
through, that's really what I'd rather fucking have. which is why you build your backyard.
Yeah.
Right. That's why if you get the resources and you're enough of a fucking lunatic, you build this backyard oasis. You have a camp somewhere. You have a thing to fuck off to unwind.
Right.
And you can get better with that, right? Like that bit of meditation, that unwind, that you don't need
100%.
a camp.
It's a balance for me.
Yeah, you can
Like,
do it in the head.
Yeah.
It just takes a bit more work to, for me, I can kind of do it once a month with a decent mushroom trip. Like that, it's a fucking vacation.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely feel like I went on a vacation. I get the same refill as going to my favorite place on the planet and not having my phone around for 24 hours. Don't know if it works like that for everyone, but I'm real stoked
Right.
it works like that for me.
Right. And we all have our things. We all have our things that balance us out. Like for me, it's like, would I love to just have unlimited money and do nothing, never have to work again? Probably not. It sounds cool right now.
I like the unlimited
but
money
I know,
part, but I
I
like
know what
working.
makes me happy.
Yeah. I like building. I like working.
I like building, and I also like the challenge too. For now, right?
However,
I'm super excited
I'm
to
pretty
get-
sure that if I had the unlimited money bit, I'm pretty sure that I could stay busy with just adventuring even if I wasn't documenting it in any way, I would have just a giant building full of cars and RVs and off-road vehicles or supercars or fucking motorcycles or whatever else I wanted. I would have a team that kept all of those things fucking pristine and running and ready to go for me to walk in the door.
Okay.
And then I would spend all my time traveling and doing that.
So what's your challenge?
There wouldn't be one. Have as
That's-
much fucking
but
fun
that
as humanly
to me,
possible.
I think
Like for
might
me,
be a happy killer.
no way, dude. Because the only thing I give a shit about is life experience. It's not the things. The things help me fulfill life experience. Like I want to. So like if that point in the money is not a big deal,
I'm just
then
wondering
time's
if
not a deal.
the lack of challenge.
So then I could private jet to Vietnam. I could buy a motorcycle or fucking bring one that I like, and I could ride around that country for a few weeks and not, and get that life experience. I could do stuff like, oh, I feel like going to walk the Appalachian Trail for the next 2 months. I would have nice gear for that. If I wanted to have a Sprinter van follow me for, hey, I'm going to hit town next week, I'd like my van to be there. Like the resources would buy me, I'd buy away so much inconvenience
Yeah, sure.
other than the physical hardship of whatever the thing I want to do. Like that's how I look at that resource.
Totally. And I think it would be different for everybody.
That if I would want to learn to scuba dive, and so if I want to learn to scuba dive, I immediately can afford great gear. I can hire whoever I want for private, and I could have them come on dive trips with me so that I'm not freaked out. That would build competency and experience pretty fucking quickly. Same thing where if I wanted to become a pilot, if I have that amount of money, pretty easy to get through school.
Yeah.
I can afford to have someone and get that done relatively quickly instead of it needing to stretch out for 8 years.
Right.
I think that's how I look at that resource. And then the challenge for me is that.
Just
It's
experiencing
doing
as
it
much as you can.
As much as I can, different
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, and I don't know what it would look like. That's just kind of like a worry maybe that I would have of having unlimited money. Is like, okay,
I'll take the chance.
yeah, right. I would too, for sure.
I'll take the shot. Yeah, I'm good with that. Like, yeah, if you're gonna, I'll take the risk of the unlimited money thing. Any video game I've ever played that there was an option for unlimited money, I never chose to play the other way.
Right.
Why the fuck would I do it in this weird simulation I'm running around in? You think about that? Do you think we're in a simulation as well?
I think that we created this simulation before we came here, because I think that, like I said, we're replications of God. right?
Okay.
And at some level of consciousness, we know what's going on.
Huh.
So, like, are we in pods somewhere?
No,
or is it
I don't
just an
think
energy?
that. I just think that realistically,
That we get it all. Is that what you mean? Like at some higher level
we
of
created
consciousness,
a video game for ourselves so that we could experience
everything.
So everything that we create is just an experience. Right? Because God's whole thing was like, I just want to experience every possible perspective that I can, good and bad, because that's evolution. It gives me a grander view of everything.
Interesting.
From being a human on Earth to being a mermaid on another planet in another universe. It's just a different perspective. It's just a different experience.
For sure. With that said, I'm pretty glad
Within
that
that,
I,
I
have legs
think
and
that-
I got this one.
What's that?
I'm pretty glad that this is the experience
Yeah.
I'm getting to run. Because what we know about Earth, there isn't another time frame I'd rather live in than now.
Agreed. I 100%
No
agree.
fucking way.
No.
Not interested in being around growing up in Louisiana without fucking air conditioning. Not super fucking into it. I remember my dad talking about, like, growing up in the South and, like, they had ice delivered to their house.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Right? Like,
And I'm assuming, did they have like a fan to sit it in front of?
no, the ice would just be in the freezer. Like, that's how
Oh.
you kept your shit cold.
Oh, I guess
because they didn't have electricity.
Yeah. Oh, so you just
Where my
burned
dad
alive all
was
the
at.
time. Oh, okay, cool.
Fucking, like, that type of stuff. And then I remember one of those lines I remember my dad saying was talking to his grandfather. And was like, hey, what do you remember about being a kid that's different now? And his grandfather said, the whole world smelled like horse shit. And fuck, I bet it did.
Oh yeah. Oh
Fuck,
yeah.
I bet it did. Like that. So, man, that's another one of those interesting societal things that I kind of wonder what'll be the next thing that we fix in this regard. So there was a period of time.
We're not even aware of was a thing.
Yeah. So like turn of the century, there were major fucking concerns in cities about horse shit,
Yeah.
about how much there was. And there are predictions of if traffic grows and people and population moves in, we're looking at having 6 foot of horse shit in the streets.
Fuck yeah.
Well, then the car came about. There's no more problem with fucking horses.
Now we got a gas problem that we're trying to fix.
Right. So like what we didn't have to fix the horse shit problem because we made cars.
Yeah.
Like I don't know which is the next which is the current horse shit that we're gonna fix and be like, oh, well that's better.
Hopefully oil.
Forever.
Hopefully
I
oil
feel
and
like
gasoline.
it's just gonna be fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Would have to be the next thing, and then I guess we have to worry about the sun burning out. But I don't know.
We got some time on that.
We got some time on
the
that
fossil
one,
fuels
so.
bit is a really tricky one, right? Because that's not our dependency on oil. Just isn't. It's not gasoline. Like that's not the major draw. It's all the petrochemical products. It's
Right.
everything fucking made of plastic. It's everything. It's
Oh yeah.
It's the lubricant for machines that make machines. It's the
Yeah.
lubricant, that
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah, I can't.
Like it's not gasoline. Gasoline isn't the major
Right.
byproduct that these refineries sell. It's avgas. It's rubber it's material for making fucking
literally
tires.
everything.
It's asphalt.
It's everything
Yeah.
we make.
It's the whole production and energy process that just goes into making the thing.
Well, and I know, but I feel like what we've sold the kids on is this get rid of fossil fuels, that the electric car is the fucking cure for
They
this.
just want to
and
put a face on everything because it
that ain't-
benefits them.
Ain't how it fucking goes.
No.
Yo,
Well,
the-
because isn't it like the energy cost to make those alone is also
They're also gnarly.
Very yeah.
They're also super, super fucking gnarly. They're
Yeah.
not. They are long term more viable, but the immediate cost up front
Well,
is
that's
pretty
what I'm
ugly
saying.
with lithium ion
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Is I think it's the right direction, but it needs a lot of refinement before it becomes a replacement.
But I also get
so-
what Elon has to do there. Look, I believe the guy's aware of those type of shortcomings.
for
as
sure.
he's first generation fucking battery king.
Right.
I mean,
He's kicking ass.
I mean, that was the whole Bitcoin thing with him pulling out.
But he managed to make. I have my own thoughts on that.
Oh, okay.
But he managed to make the electric vehicle fucking cool.
Yeah.
And no one else has been able to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Which
like,
is huge
so-
in moving us towards it.
As a society, we won't ever go back to not having electric vehicles.
Yeah. No
That
way.
cat is 100% out of the bag.
Right.
It is accepted, and we will never not have electric vehicles again. And that's one of the reasons I'll invest in Tesla, because they're not
It's not
fucking
going anywhere. No.
That money will probably be fine in fucking 2 decades. Then, back to what he was saying about Elon and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I do believe, let's say that for an honest reason, he pulled out for the reason he said he did,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what Elon did learn is he can manipulate Bitcoin's price very drastically.
And he has a lot of money to fuck with it.
And is it insider trading if simply you saying things
Yeah.
makes the stock
It's
change?
crazy. I mean, I know
'Cause that's what
talked
he can
about
currently do.
Well, the Signal app, the whole messaging thing, like the downloads for that, like it was bonkers after he said like, "Hey, you should use this app for communications because it's all like private or whatever."
Yeah, it's all encrypted, yeah.
And it like bajillion downloads, like just so quickly because he said it.
And it's a great
So-
one. I've used it to
yeah.
do sketchy things. In case you got sketchy things to do, what are you going to fucking not do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so-
I'm not going to just go buy drugs off of Instagram like some type of goddamn ham and egger.
yeah.
So yeah, I do believe we're in a simulation to end.
I think
we created it for ourselves to experience.
I think that it really would come down to how we define simulation. Because if I'm immediately thinking that it's some asshole playing a video game in a virtual reality machine,
Which is what most people think at first.
what most people think, do I think it's that? Probably not.
I don't think so.
However, if it is, that fucking guy's doing a great job. Whatever route he's chose to go with my thing, I'm fucking full in, bud.
Yeah.
Stay on the gas.
Yeah,
Let's keep fucking making weird shit like I'm a 12-year-old playing The Sims.
Yeah, the perspective you had on the whole simulation thing, I never ever thought about it that way. I think that's actually really interesting, and I feel like that would be more accurate to an actual simulation theory over like we're in a video game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like there's
I mean, it's almost like religion. That's where I think they got it from, was like, okay, God created this for us.
So
Well,
what,
I
so
think,
what amount of
yeah,
psychedelics have you started dabbling in?
I've just done mushrooms
What amount?
a couple times, about 3 grams.
Okay. And a couple times. How much pivoted pre and post that?
That changed a lot for me. Yeah, I saw some things the first time I did it. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's interesting.
Oh, this isn't what I think it is.
Nope.
And that's really all I think simulation theory is this whole experience and what we think it is, this is not really what's going on. It's how we're perceiving it, and that's it.
Well, sure. I mean, but we can make that argument as far as all colors, how
Right,
any of that work, and how it's
that makes
received by the
anything
retina.
basically infinite. Sure.
Yeah, you actually had brought this up a while ago, just about like us doing the exact same thing and like how our perspectives and experiences of that same thing are so wildly different just between the two of us, even though we did the same thing.
we were at a
Yeah.
campfire.
Yeah.
I was a little high.
No,
In case you were wondering.
no surprise.
We were at a campfire at that Stay Yonder place out in Escalante for Dana's birthday. And, like, you know, we're all around a campfire toward the end of the night outside telling stories, shooting the shit, playing games or whatever. And while even that is this really shared memory, everyone's perspective of it is different, because I sat in that chair and I looked at the Winnebago from this way and I was facing the movie theater. You know, if you were on the other side of the fire, you probably saw a longer sunset throughout the night. You saw the interaction. I didn't think much of the interaction of anybody on the sides of me because I'm looking this way. Like, that whole night for you is very different. And that's why, like, first-person recountings of stories, because I know that I've been places with a buddy of mine, and I remember Drew, one of my longest friends. I remember listening to Drew tell stories, and for a long time, I'm like, yeah, Drew's full of shit.
That's not how it happened.
Drew's full of shit. And then I'm like, because that's not how any of that fucking happened. But meanwhile, like, now that I've gotten older, I don't know.
Yeah, so this is what I wonder.
Is he wrong, or is my memory different than his?
Like, what if, let's say right now, we're in your studio, right? If you had the ability to put your body in mine.
I think we can do that.
There's a...
Oh my god.
Okay.
Sorry.
Put your consciousness in my body.
Yes. That's not what I call it. It's more cock-shaped.
Would you even recognize where you were?
Right.
Because
Yeah,
it might
I don't know.
look...
Yeah,
that
I don't.
little gun might look like something completely different to me than it does to you.
So even stuff like that, and then I think about, like, well, of course, alcohol affects you differently. Weed would affect you differently. Food tastes differently. Like, we don't have any similarities, right?
Right.
Like, you don't. It's really hard to explain what blue looks like other than pointing at it.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
And so, like,
And the way
I
that you
think we're on
explain
the
it
same
may be the
page.
way that I understand it, but the reality probably is, if you know anything about quantum physics, is
I know very little.
everything is really only energy.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's
how do we
that's
know
the part
that
that's
my
crazy to me.
consciousness in a swarm of energy all around me sees things, anything even fucking close to the way that you see and hear things?
So the only thing that's ever felt, so that idea that everything essentially kind of is like the way the Matrix breaks things down with the ones and zeros, except for it would be atoms and electrons.
Yeah.
And it is crazy to me that this is a fucking solid mass and this is a solid mass, but I know that it's atoms
Yeah.
and electrons
Which are 99.
held together by invisible shit
Just
that somehow equal a
attraction.
solid.
Yeah.
It fucks me all up.
And the
I remember
actual-
having
and
those
the
questions
actual-
in like whatever grade we learned about
Yeah.
atoms, and my teacher's just staring at me like, "Fuck, do I know,
That's like,
man?
I
I
don't know."
teach fifth graders."
Well, and it's made up of 99.9999 whatever percent energy.
Right.
right? Those atoms, those protons and the neutrons, they make up such a small amount of that space that really what's inside and what's manipulating that very small amount of dust is energy.
Yeah, because
It's all energy. So really everything
moving.
is
Right.
energy.
Right.
Yeah.
And energy can manipulate those.
So something that comes from DMT, in a way I would describe the DMT trip, you can see things for that. Like everything
Yes.
is just made of the same.
Okay. Yes, it's all energy, right?
Yeah. And it's
And
infinite.
this has been proven by science,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
This
right.
is just quantum physics. Now,
Yes.
there's
Yeah, I know
people-
what you're saying isn't a mystery.
Yeah, so they know, right? They've looked at atoms, and they've seen that depending on who is looking at an actual atom, who is observing it.
Well, okay, so the observer theory, that's a tricky one, right? Because part of what they're talking about is when you're trying to measure things at that level. And the problem with trying to even measure things at that level, because they're so small and they're so fragile.
You're making a guess, basically.
But you're not.
making
It's
a
not that
guesstimate.
you're making a guess. It's that if you're trying to record something and observe something at that level, it's so small and so fragile. By you putting a mirror on it, which is how you would record it, the light shifts on it, and because light has enough energy to move it,
Yes.
there isn't any way for you to see it and not have an effect on it. So that's what the observer theory is.
Okay.
It doesn't have a consciousness. It's not choosing to do something different to be tricky. We know why it's changing, but it's so hard to predict what change it's going to make because we don't
Right.
have a great
So-
way to measure the power of a light push on an electron.
Yeah.
Right, because but your observance, in my opinion, is light. Because your energy is hitting it.
Yeah.
And we know that they act differently when light hits them,
Okay.
right? But yeah, I've never
And look, I
heard
also
that
don't,
perspective.
and I don't
but-
have any problem with how that, like, even metaphors out to my light and how it affects the other people that perceive it in my
Right.
life on a bigger picture than even small at the electron scale. I dig that concept,
Right.
as a whole. Yeah, the observer thing like that, like it's like we know that that's what they're talking about. Now the dark matter, any of those type of things,
Or have you gotten into string theory?
a little bit. I'm a little bit more interested in aliens.
Yeah.
So do you think they've come here?
I believe that the government is in contact with aliens.
Like on a regular basis?
I just think, with my thinking, is everything's infinite, right? So there's infinite beings, and that means there's probably plenty of beings that are billions and trillions and gazillions of years older and more advanced than we are.
Of course.
So if we're just a consciousness that came from God and is progressing through this whole cycle, we'll eventually get to where they are on a level of consciousness. That doesn't mean that we look like them. Or
Oh,
that
see,
we
I don't
act
believe
like
that's
them.
guaranteed.
I don't think anything's guaranteed.
I believe that there is a path that we get there, right? Because I like the multiverse idea. I like all those type of things. So I believe that there is a path we go there.
I still think the Love, Death, and Robots episode with the whole civilization in the fridge
Yep.
is still the best analogy for the whole thing, because the whole thing because there's a point where they blow each other up and
Yep.
it kind of starts over, but they reach this higher consciousness where they turn to pure energy and they disappear, and that's what happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, that is, that kind of makes sense. That's how, that's the ultimate goal of pure energy or whatever.
I mean,
So,
also, we
very
could be
interesting.
fucking stupid monkeys flying around on a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
I don't know enough to tell you that ain't the
doesn't-
fucking case.
That doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. But
well, I mean,
but
then are you giving
what the fuck
extra?
do I
But
know?
are you giving extra credit to us as a species then, as if we're something special? Because the fucking dinosaurs were here for 250 million years. We've been here for 2.5. We're not even the fucking dominant species that has shown up and done shit on the planet.
yeah, so I think dinosaurs, animals are lower. They're much sooner in the process than we are. Because I think that your consciousness exists and your consciousness can't be destroyed. Going back to what we were talking about at my house, past lives.
Okay.
So
with,
yeah,
with
just
past
because
lives,
I
then
die
you're still
doesn't
dealing with. I mean,
necessarily mean that I don't
were
exist.
perhaps you a dinosaur in a past life?
Possibly.
Like, has that energy been around forever? Could you have been a plant? Could you have been a piece of moss?
I don't know. It's a good question though. But I would think
my
yes.
problem is I don't believe we're different than the animals. I think we've gotten lucky, and we've evolved in a real fucking weird way.
I don't either.
Oh, yeah,
I think we're more
definitely
evolved.
not.
Our consciousnesses are
so-
more evolved, so we've chosen a more evolved simulation.
And then I guess what I'm thinking about with that, right, is like then if the energy is always around and it's never created or destroyed and it is moving from being to being through time, then it would just be the luck of the draw. It wouldn't just be like human energy is human energy. It's just energy.
Correct.
So
Yeah, it's just God
so you could be a
replicating
fucking
himself.
rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also believe that the earth has a consciousness.
I believe that.
The earth is a being.
I also just believe things operate on a way different timeline, right? That like Earth doesn't look like it changes a whole lot because we move on a 24-hour clock.
Yeah, it changes all the time.
Yeah,
think
if I
everything
could sit on the
changes.
moon and every 1,000 years was a second, I bet the Earth fucking rips. Yeah, I bet it's a fucking super interesting thing to watch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
It's like trying to pretend that trees and shit like that don't have a consciousness, yet you can watch a simple time lapse and see them fucking chase the sun and make moves. And now we
Yeah.
know that they share nutrients underground with different trees.
Oh.
Like, will actually push root systems and
Yeah.
stuff like that to help. Like, there's a lot more intelligent stuff going on out there. As far as species go, yeah, we're pretty shit.
I think so.
Like we're far
I think
more
we're super-
cancer
I think we're
for Earth
super
than we
low.
are any beneficial.
I think we're super low.
Yeah.
Like we
on the
fucking
scale.
take way more than we need. We fight constantly.
Yeah, and so look at animals. Like
Yeah, we're a weird
I
invasive
s-
species. If anything, that got
right.
delivered to
I,
Earth.
I say that
Yeah.
we're on a higher consciousness than animals, but maybe we're way fucking lower. Like look at animals. They use the earth and they survive and they live.
Well, they use exactly. I would say they sometimes use more than they need, but they, like, if they're eating something, they're eating it completely.
Yeah,
like,
but at the same
entirely,
time,
you know,
at the same fucking time,
So-
we have thumbs and we made rocket ships. Fuck them. We get to run
yeah,
different
yeah,
rules.
no, yeah, of course.
So I feel both ways
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
It's like birds can fly. Like fuck you, we
See,
went to the moon.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I'm the same way. I'm just like, well, we kind of just made it to the top of the food chain
Yeah, we
in like
won.
a way. We kind of just won, which is
We're
kind of all it
currently
is.
winning.
Which
The
is
problem is we're so shit.
Yeah.
We'll remove ourselves from the fucking seat.
exactly.
Like I thought about the other day, like while I was on the motorcycle, that like if a fucking alien comes into Earth 10,000 years from now, right, and like or just pops into a random planet, and you're making a synopsis of the species, you'd be like, oh shit, they don't even all speak the same language yet. We gotta get out of here. Like at some point, we all will. It
You'd
makes
think.
sense.
You'd think.
Right, like even the race issues or any of this, right? Like in 100,000 years, we can fuck our way out of any of these problems. We just keep fucking our way into being one thing. It's a pretty positive solution. No one's really mentioning to me. Like, yeah, we could. Is anyone into fucking? Because we could fuck our way out of this whole race
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, it was. I don't remember what magazine it was. It was Time or National Geographic or something. Did a cover forever ago, but like this is what the average human being is going to look like in 200 years or whatever. And they're more dark, like they're more mixed. They're like
Yeah, of
more
course they
me. They're more me-ish or whatever.
Of
because
course.
like it's like yeah, because that's how it's gonna go. So it's just like yeah, that's. I mean, you're right in a
Right.
way.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Right? Like those are a couple things that if we're around in 10,000 years, we didn't fucking blow ourselves up. So if we're sitting here and we're like, well, that's a pretty cool path, maybe we should just reverse engineer this thing and stop with the fight needs to like figure out some shit. Maybe be a thing on Earth, like a collective.
See, my thing is, I feel like that push would happen though when actual other life becomes like
Actual alien life
like,
getting
what
involved
do you
is
call it,
very
fact.
tricky.
Yeah. Well, because my thing is like,
Oh, we do good if we unite
because
against the thing to fight.
That's what I'm saying is like, I feel like it'll start as, oh, we got to fight against this thing. So everyone comes
But-
together.
Are you talking
but,
about aliens? Like we have to fight against aliens?
Yeah. Would that be a uniter as a species
It's not
in the
gonna
way
happen.
Independence Day has?
It's not going to happen.
No, it wouldn't be a good fight. If they manage to get here, they win.
Yeah.
That's the rules.
That's
If they have the
the
technology
rules.
to get here,
we're done.
They won. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't get
We
to
wouldn't
Mars.
even. We
That's
wouldn't,
next door.
If they
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of us, we wouldn't even know
we
it.
can't get to Mars,
Yeah.
much less they came from another galaxy, which
Yeah.
means they have light speed.
Yeah.
We don't win that fight in any fucking
So with
way.
that in mind, there's no fight happening.
Well,
I'm not saying.
I dig kind of the point like the movie Arrival did.
Yeah.
Whereas like they're like, yes, we know you're gonna do this bomb thing. Get it fucking through your system so that we can get on to communicating. You're not a threat to us.
Yeah.
The other like, yeah, I dig that vibe. That of course they're not gonna fight us because
It's like it's
Think
pointless.
about humans. If we evolve, let's say humans exist somehow, we figure out this planet, and we exist for, let's just say, another 5,000 years, 10,000 years. What does our behavior look like at that point?
I know that there's some things we're probably not doing that we currently are doing. I would say one of those is dumping trash in the ocean. I feel like that's a thing that we'll probably sort out. and
You would
be
hope
like,
that we
I
would
would
get
hope so.
better,
why
right?
did we do that for so long?
I would.
You would hope that we would get better.
You would-
to me,
you
it
would hope.
seems like if you look back in history, like we were fucking savages, and more love has been introduced into the world.
There's
since
been
then.
peaks and valleys, and we try not to pretend that there
Right.
have been. We want to pretend that it's
But are
been
we?
straight
But are we
linear.
are we moving in an upward direction? Are we more loving now? Are we more united, or are we less than
No.
we were 1,000 years
Are
ago?
we more comfortable? Yes. We are. We're the most comfortable our species has ever been, and that has been the goal for a really long time. But the problem after you're comfortable and all the needs are met, what then? And most people are falling into that category.
Well, I think that's
Right.
what we're seeing now because I think you had said before, someone essentially like people are starting. That's why we're creating these problems and these conflicts.
Look,
that
the
don't
only
really
way
exist.
I see us living and existing another 1,000 years is we have to evolve, and that evolution is going to have to involve love.
What's a pretty good chance that we don't make it the next 1,000 years?
There's a good chance that we don't make it because I don't know if we will, but I think that's what has to happen. There has to
I
be
agree with that.
an insanely greater amount of love spread throughout the human race.
I'm not sure the path that we've gone down as a society and what theories and stuff we've backed. The problem is it's not globally. And it's really easy to think our shit's global. But I think other places operate totally differently. There's definitely... I just don't see why, as a species, we get so locked in on ideas that we can't take some actual time to look at like what other cultures are doing well, and then just be like, why don't we just do that part for that thing, and steal a bunch of it instead of pretend that we didn't make up all the fucking rules less than 200 years ago anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just... We no longer want to operate with logic, and we no longer want to operate with any type of compromise. We don't want to operate with any type of conversation. Like, that's the big stuff that stresses me out, is because of the splits, and because of not only that, and because how most people now communicate via text or online, especially since things got locked down, that we learned very early on that communication, that 99% of it is done with nonverbals. What you see in someone's facial expressions, the empathy,
Right.
what they're wearing, their style of dress,
Their whole presence.
candor, right?
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's hurt and operating in pain and fear, you read every text message with the context of being attacked because you can't help it. You don't see that tone of voice in a text. You read it the way you want to because of how you feel. And a society that keeps going that way will keep getting fed by the news machines, which is why they can be done automated. Like, dude, you can read a story and it said this fucking article was artificially generated by blah, 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 blah. Like, read more information on both sides of every argument. That would be
100%.
fucking ideal.
But that's not what sells.
Nope.
It's not what sells anymore.
And again, that's our fault.
It's our fault.
We keep buying the things
Yeah.
that go this way. Like, that's how you vote. You want them to stop? Stop fucking buying stuff.
Right.
That's the only move. You know, you don't like that the Kardashians are billionaires, don't fucking watch their TV show. That's your only move. You don't get to try to legislate something to get in their fucking way.
Yeah. But we've created a world of victims.
I know. It's just such a fucking bummer that we've created a society that wants to just fucking yell and point and be like, look at their fuck up.
Yeah.
They fucked up. Look at how much they fucked up. And like, give us your fucking pound of flesh. Like, it's such a fucking silly thing that it's that virtue. Like, man, I've traveled a lot and I haven't met anyone that gets really offended about stuff. And now, is that because I'm not exposed to fucking regular people? Or is that because it doesn't really, that it's such a small percentage, but they're so loud online?
I don't think it's a small percentage, but I think there's a greater divide now, more than ever.
I think it's a smaller percentage, man, than we want to think. But because
I think you're right.
It gets to make so much noise that you look at someone like a Kardashian in their comments and see what a comment on a thing is, and it's got 100,000 comments. Like, if you read 100 of those and they were like, fuck you, bitch, burn, eat shit, like, it wouldn't take a lot of those for you to be like, they get a lot of that. Meanwhile, of the 50 million people that they're in front of, 200 are being shitty. It's no one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an extreme victim, though. You're talking about an extreme victim. If you wanted to talk about people that are just in general victims, I think it is a big portion of society. But I think there's becoming a greater divide between those victims and those owners. I think you have the people, and we see them around us because you attract what you are. But I think you're getting a lot more people that are starting to take responsibility for their lives. And I don't know, maybe I just see that because that's what I choose to see. But that's what I see.
I do believe that's true. And the beauty of what I would say with that, of people that whether that has been they got switched on through psychedelics or whatever the life-changing experience was that got them on the other side of that fence, that they now have decided that they're in fucking control of
For a lot of people, it was COVID.
Yeah.
I saw a huge shift in both directions. You see a lot of people that just became complete victims, and you saw a lot of people that were like, oh, fuck. Like, I got to get my shit together now, and they did.
Yeah, I panicked.
Yeah.
I fully fucking panicked.
And you leveled up during COVID, and so did I. I leveled up, too, because I was given a stack of cards that I wasn't expecting.
No, man, it was full panic for me.
It forced us to.
I mean, like, shit, like, you hadn't been working for us very long.
No, it was 2 months.
Yeah, like 2 months. I had just got an employee, and like, man, I'd planned to fucking travel and make content and do all this stuff to help grow the business, and instead we locked down, and the pivot really turned from you working with the YouTube, which was originally kind of the plan.
Yeah.
Which would have gave me more time to focus on hate. We just started doing media for everything.
Yeah.
And like, I cut my fucking salary because, hey, I don't sell a single fucking thing anyone needs. There's not an essential product that I create. And so while I should be allowed to fucking sell them, I understand if no one's buying them.
Yeah, sure.
But they didn't stop buying them. They bought a lot more of them. And I can either think that I can either be positive about it and think my customer is doing well enough at life that they have expendable income that they can buy a $30 shirt when they want to. And I hope that that's what my audience is. I hope that they get the message enough that their shit's together.
Right.
I hope they're not, I don't know if I should get food this week or buy this shirt.
Oh, no. Yeah.
If you're doing that, fucking go get food.
Go get food.
Right? Like, so, like, occasionally seeing that we get a spike in sales around stimulus checks. There's part of me that's like, God damn it. Be more responsible with your money. But then I'm like, probably they didn't need it.
Yeah.
The same way I didn't need it when it fucking showed up.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that got stimulus checks that just used it to buy the shit that they wanted, and that's
and,
fine.
And the truth of it is, too, of the eyes and people that I have following me, it's a 0% of those people buy shit from us. Like, it's not like it's 50% of my audience buys stuff.
Right.
If I have 80,000 followers and Hate has 60,000 eyes, we still, like, we're kicking ass doing 2,300 orders a month. Like, that's 1%.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fucking low success rate. I would think a million eyes would make that 1% cooler.
Right.
So,
Well, it's like 0.016.
right.
If you did 2,300 out of 140,000 eyes,
Right.
yeah, we're 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be super successful. I just need some people to be interested in this
Right.
fucking thing. And it's fucking fun to hunt. And if you can build it, man, I want to see more people give it a go. Because it's super fun and it's super rewarding. And if you're a fucking lunatic like me and your brain works the way mine does, if I had to do the daily side of all the fulfillment and the shipping and do all that, it would crush it for me and I would fucking hate doing it. Like, I know that it would ruin the business for me. Like, had I had to do that early on, that part would have it would have become such a hassle for me because it wasn't making enough money. I wouldn't be able to handle it for the long term.
Right.
So the fact that we were able to build the company the way that we did with having the fulfillment side already from jump was great. And I get where people have a hard time making the shift because, it's more expensive. It's not the same price as fucking printing them yourself and fucking shipping them out. But what's your time worth? And to me, I felt, and I always
And it's also
felt,
it's a risk too. People see it as a risk.
yeah, well, for me, I always felt that I would have better chance to promote the brand doing Matt Vincent shit than me putting my fucking hands on boxes.
100%.
And if I'm going to make any money at apparel, it's a big quantity game anyway. So let's just reinvest 100%.
But most people want to start here, and then
Like, I know,
step up.
And you do. There isn't any way to just be like 200,000 shirts, sir.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the first order. Like, there's no way to fucking do that, and there's no magic ad spend button that makes you $1 million fucking dollars.
But if you can hijack a few of the steps with taking just a little bit more of a risk,
dude, especially now,
those
especially
risks usually
after-
pay off if you are competent.
Well, especially after now and after all the years of competing and the years of performing when it counts and like that, I know that I can do the grind of training. I know that I can live with that. I know that I can make it all hit at a moment and peak at a competition and do my best when it fucking counts. Like, I know that I can do all that. And so I trust in me enough that I'll do it. So I'll take the risk. I'm always willing to bet on me because I know that I can fucking go. The only thing I can't do anymore and lie to myself is if it's not something I'm 100% interested in.
Right.
Don't fucking bother. I'm not talented enough to, like, halfway make a thing fucking successful.
But the only way you've probably figured that out was by
tried a
doing
couple
it.
things.
You've fucking done
I have a couple things that are, like, on simmer that I can't get to fucking go because it never gets as much attention as hate does.
it. Right.
Even
And you only learn that shit by doing it and failing.
And even the podcast. Like, I love doing this. And I think we do a great show. But if this was my only focus, like, if hate got bought from me, this is where every fucking bit of my focus would go.
Yeah, I mean, just personally for my work, like, that's been a lot of focus just recently of getting it revamped and making it look different, making it look like how it's supposed to be. The whole vibe curation of the podcast itself, like getting that whole thing done. That's been a lot of time recently, and just
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
How
that's
fucking
been-
cool is it that we made podcasts such a big thing?
Oh man, but it's great, and it's
It's
so
so great.
contrary to what people wanted to believe, that we were told that you can't do this long form content. But people want it.
Well, because
mean-
now everyone's shifting away from anything that lasts more than a minute. People crave real conversations.
I do,
I do too.
and it seems since also I don't need a giant number of people to buy my shit for me to
Right.
get to live this lifestyle. Especially in population, to say whatever number of people live in my country or earth. I need none of them to be into my shit.
Right.
And I'm like, I think that changes how I feel about the chance of success. I think it
Yeah.
could be overwhelming to be like, oh man, you're just going to run your own fucking podcast and do this and this and this. But I mean, yeah, it is on the back of a lot of athletic fucking time spent at a sport that I spent a lot of time building relationships and making friends and being.
And building discipline and creating control over your emotions. And
Yeah. But it would be fun to fully like pour into this and be able to fly people out and do the guest that I can reach.
right.
But there's some times where right now I don't have time, especially with hate. But there's
Yeah.
tons of people I'd love to have on again or see or bring out.
It's the energy.
Yeah.
Energy goes where you need it to go, and we only have so much.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's kind of been a thing for me recently, is just like energy needing to go kind of everywhere all at once all the time. But it's just like, it's okay, because it's like, dude, you're 1 year into the 5-year plan, you know, like it's gonna take time. It's okay that it's not happening today, even though it always fucking feels like it has to happen today.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Like, it's like,
And not only that, dude,
yeah.
like what I would have considered the 5-year plan when you got hired,
yeah.
like I feel like we're past it. I think
Oh,
business
yeah.
size and sales will catch up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think we're seeing that now.
Yeah.
Is a slingshot effect of us pouring and pouring and pouring and making the actual company better.
Yeah.
And now it's the other side is picked up because it doesn't look like it's a fucking horseshit fluke.
Isn't it fun to look back at yourself at 10 years ago and think, like, what would that person think of me now? And how fucking far I've come.
Dude,
I love thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking
that
about
every day.
fucking last year or 2
Like,
years
even just
ago.
1 year ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
right?
sure.
And
Like,
you're like,
just
holy
1 year.
shit. If you lose sight of it sometimes, I think, going forward, of like how much progress you can really make. But if you look back, it's like, shit.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's why, that's why I tried to make sure, like, when I'm posting stuff, like, I try and just post all my work that I'm doing for hate or whatever, because I want to go back in 5 years and scroll through
Yeah.
it and just be like, holy shit,
Because it makes you feel,
dude.
that makes me feel
Dude,
fucking
dude,
good
like,
when
a
I
really,
look
really
back.
weird side effect, right? Like of the YouTube thing that I've done, because I've vlogged and done all this type of stuff and filmed a lot of fucking content, right? For a channel that isn't doing incredible. You know, we've right around 40,000 or so subscribers. They're into it. But I've got like 1,400 videos on my channel. Like there's a fuckload of content.
I know. I had to go through them looking for stuff. So
Right. And like it's pretty
It's a
fucking
lot.
it's a shit ton.
Yeah.
it's a lot of videos.
And it never fucking went viral. It never popped. I just didn't stop. I liked doing it, and it was a thing I could get better at. And I just never quit doing it
Yeah.
until we got here. And I guess what I'm saying is like, oh, you don't have to be the most famous dude in the world to fucking make a living doing your dream.
Right.
Like, you can job it out. You can fucking grind your way to it too. And you know, it's been a weird thing, but part of it is just that, you know, even with the podcast, you know, we never fucking miss a week. Never skip a week. It's consistent. I don't ever fucking do that. Like, we're doing a podcast, and then I fucking do 2 episodes, and no one hears from me for 6 months.
Which is what most people
Most
do.
people do. Most people don't have
Which
the
is-
consistency.
It's fine.
Yeah,
But-
look, man, if it works for you to do it that way, right the fuck on.
Yeah, go for it.
I know I'm
Depends
not
on what your
talented
intentions
enough.
are, I guess, but yeah.
I'm not talented enough to fucking be able to do that. To just be able to fucking spin gold out of, we did 2 podcasts this year and it fucking raked in X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I was talking about that with my buddy, Jason Ellis. We were hanging out and we were just talking about, like, he's like, you know, I've worked on the show and like tried to do this and we built this fucking rad studio, and he's grinding trying to fucking make this thing work, this living. And then, you know, because you're grinding, because you're hustling, an opportunity shows up that you're not even expecting. And for him, it was Tony Hawk and him have been buddies for forever, and that's how Jason got his start in radio, was doing a guest spot on Tony's Demolition Radio on XM. And so they've worked together in radio, and that's where Jason got his start. And so Tony was like, we should do a podcast together every week.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, Tony Hawk wants to do a podcast with me. It's
Of
immediately successful.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Like, it's fucking immediately a hit, because that guy's gravity
Yeah.
is so fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, Tony Hawk is so fucking mega famous.
You would say that in regards to the memes about people not recognizing him.
Yeah.
Those are hilarious. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And
Instant success.
Jason was just like, yeah, so I guess that's what you do to get popular.
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck. Like, bust my ass. Tony's magic wand, which has fucking been deserved.
Yeah.
You're fucking Tony Hawk. You earned that fucking seat.
Yeah.
Right? But you have it. You have that ability to just be like, your thing works now. And like,
Yeah. Just fucking dab
It's
him
cool
on the
as
head.
hell.
fucking incredible.
It's cool as hell.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see that, man. And like, yeah, just fucking
And
root for him.
I personally think that's kind of just how the universe works. I think it takes some grinding and not seeing any progress, and then all of a sudden it just works in a way that maybe you didn't expect.
I've been really lucky, and it's definitely come from, I mean, relationships with close friends. You know, I think I've been able to institute a lot of things that I've been able to see other smart people I'm around do. Look at the way they build teams and systems and how they manage companies, and I get to take a lot of notes from a lot of smart people, and it's fucking helped. And you know what I look at that they all do that's consistent, they're all obsessed with it. They're all complete fucking lunatics. Like any of them, they have their shit together that are doing a thing that I like, that I'm fascinated by. I mean, so yeah, there's no halfway doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to live and breathe it for as long as I want to, because I can always just fucking go to Bali if I'm tired of it. I don't fucking have to do it. It's fun. I love doing it. I love fucking creating shirts and still doing all of it. I'm glad that I don't just have hate, though.
Right.
Because, like, hate without the podcast and hate without the YouTube stuff, that would be a really weird thing.
It'd be different.
Yeah, because then we're just running a t-shirt company, and then I don't understand why anyone gives a shit about me.
No, you're selling a lifestyle. I mean, you're selling your personal brand.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
it all works
encompassing.
together.
It's all encompassing.
I'm glad that I get to be as much me as that I get to be. Like, I know other people that do it, and you're more of a character.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fucking wildly popular, and I'm sure that paycheck's cooler.
But you can't really pivot well.
Oh, man.
It's
and then, like,
it's harder to.
Now you're doing that thing and don't love it.
It's all about happiness for me.
Same.
All about happiness for me.
But everyone defines it different, right? Like
Everybody defines it different,
You
but
were
at
at one point chasing just getting rich.
Yeah, I was.
And what's the goal now?
Just happiness, which does require some money, but not like I used to
does,
think
for
of.
sure.
It doesn't. I don't think of it the way that I used to.
Well, I know there's a level of, like, a bottom end to what my needs need to be met for me to be happy. Outside of that, everything else is just a bonus.
Right.
Like, I don't need a fucking pool or a hot tub or any of that to be happy.
Right.
I don't need a private gym to be happy. I've been happy without it. You know, I was happy sharing a room with Bonnie at her friend's house when I moved to St. Louis. I've been happy fucking really broke at other points in my life. But I've always enjoyed building.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed trying to make progress and trying to get better at shit. But if I can reward those things and make my life experience fucking cooler, right? Like, one of the things that makes me happy, I like showering outside. If at some point in my life I can afford an outdoor shower, I'd like to have one of those.
Yeah.
That makes every day a little bit fucking cooler.
Right.
If I can afford to drive a vehicle that I love, that makes every time I have that 2-minute drive a little fucking cooler. And that's how I look at, like, building that whole thing.
It's all for you. It's all about experiences.
100%.
And I'm 100% on board with that as well. Like,
yeah, I'm an experience junkie.
I want to have the experience of building companies. I want to have the experience of going on vacation with my family.
Yeah.
I want to have the experience of first time I buy my fucking dream car and I get to know what that feels like.
What is your dream car?
Lambo.
A Lambo, just basically
Yeah.
any Lambo.
No, I really want an Aventador.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Just matte black looking like fucking Batman. Just be so obnoxious with it.
White with red interior.
Ooh, that's clean.
Do red wheels on it too.
For me, the Lambo is the one car I've told myself since I was little, because when I was very little, obsessed with cars my whole life, right? Mm-hmm. Really little, I had a poster of a Lamborghini Diablo. Okay. Ever since then, I've always just been obsessed with Lamborghinis. At some point when I was, I don't know, maybe when I got home from my mission, at some point in my 15 to 20, I decided, or no, maybe it was when the car came out in 2012. 2012, the Aventador came out. And I said, that's the car I'm going to buy. And I know that at this point I'm still thinking about just getting rich, right?
Right.
So it's all about money. But also there's like kind of a means to an end with the car, because I love cars. The money was all about buying cool cars.
Yeah, yeah.
So my first thing was, when I buy an Aventador, that's when I can tell myself I've made it, because I know I'm never going to want to stop and say I've made it. I'm just going to want to keep going.
Yeah.
So for me, it's going to be a trophy when I can buy
for
that
sure.
car.
Right now, do you need to keep that trophy forever to have it?
No, absolutely not.
Just it passed through.
For me, for me, like, cars at this point now are like, it's a cool piece of metal that I get to have an experience with, and that's it.
Yeah.
It means nothing more to me.
Yeah, I don't. So
I have no attachment to anything.
I don't have sentimental value to
No,
any stuff.
like, people like sell their cars and they're like,
Well,
I'm sad. Like, okay,
like one of the things I bought that I'm very proud of was my other watch, my other Panerai. I wanted that watch for a really fucking long time. Was able to afford it. I bought it. Earlier this year, when I finished Dope, Bonnie bought me as a gift this one, and so I wear this one more often. Kelly Starrett was in town a few weeks ago, and his watch had to go to the shop. Has a Bell & Rossi wears, and so I lent him my Panerai, because I know that for meetings and stuff like he's doing, it's nice to have when you're in fucking sweatpants all day.
right,
It's nice having a nice thing that
yeah,
lets other people in the room know you're not full of shit.
right,
And he's been wearing it and loving it. Like, he's already bought a band for it and like changed it out, and like I know that he'd buy it from me, but I'm not interested in selling it to him. Like, I just assume he can have it. Like, I don't fucking care.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, that guy, the life experience I've gotten, the growth that I've got in my life from being friends with him, and the travel and adventures and situations, and yeah, I don't fucking care.
So it's
man.
priorities.
Yeah,
right? People put a priority on things,
what I
which is
wanted out
fucking
of
weird.
that watch when I bought it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that none of my experience of buying that watch and how I feel earning it or any of that has diminished at all if it's not under my possession. Like, it doesn't have a control.
Yeah,
I still have all that. I still have a fucking watch. Right? But like, whether that one's sitting on my desk or not, I'm more stoked knowing where it is, providing him cool energy, than I ever give a shit about having that watch back.
right.
If I can share my resources to make my people fucking lives better, I'm in.
That's a way better experience than having anything.
It's always felt cool, dude. Like, he's been such a fucking mentor to me.
Yeah,
Like, I'm fucking honored. I'm fucking honored to have built my shit into enough of a position that I can afford to do that.
so experiences and relationships
That's it.
for me
Yep.
are above everything else.
Same across the board, man.
Any fucking thing, any amount of money, don't give a fuck. If it's not going to come before any relationship that I care about. It's not going to come before any experience that I want.
Man, and that's one of the reasons I vibed with you so well. Like, I mean, we haven't got to know each other that long, just from trips to Utah and going out that way now, and it's been super fucking fun. And
Yeah,
now,
we have fun.
we got to do New Year's Eve together, and you kind of get the gist of how me and my whole team does our thing a
Right.
little different than
Yeah,
everyone
hell
else.
yeah, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, man, and we have fun with it. You know what I mean? And it's genuine.
Yeah,
I'm having a good fucking time. I don't know that everyone always is, but I'm trying like hell. Dude, this has been great. Brand, how long have we done
Yeah.
this?
Almost 2.5 hours.
Fucking A.
yeah, this was awesome. man.
Good work. Good work.
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, dude, where can people find you? Or if they're looking for vehicles, can they reach you from anywhere in the country? Like,
Yeah, Instagram is the best. Just DM me on Instagram. It's just Chase Hosk.
there you go. And then Hoskins Trucks.
HoskinsTrucks.com is our website. We don't usually carry a lot of inventory, but like I said, best way to talk to me about doing a build or whatever is just through Instagram.
And you've been doing some YouTube stuff now too. I know that you went and took one
Yeah.
of those Dodge bad motherfuckers out into the desert.
Yep, that's on my Instagram as well.
How's that thing?
Pretty badass.
Is it pretty fucking badass?
I mean, I don't like the suspension as much as I like the Raptor.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it looks as much as the Raptor because
I
I
don't
think the
either.
Raptors are beautiful. But the 700 horsepower off-road is
It's fucking gnarly.
pretty
It feels
fucking
like a truck with
intoxicating.
700 horsepower.
It feels like a trophy truck. Oh, whereas with the Raptor, you get the V6 twin
Yeah.
turbo, which is a great
looks like a
motor,
trophy truck.
but it's not a trophy truck.
No, it just looks like one.
Right.
God
So
damn.
you get that feeling more with the TRX. I like that.
It'll be fun to some point build a vehicle together.
So yeah, if you like cars, trucks, whatever, come follow me on Instagram.
Heck yeah. I've seen some rad ones you built, so I'm into all of them, dude.
Yeah, we have fun.
But dude, thank you guys for listening. Spread hate, always party.